Good morning. It's not the morning, it's the afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back. It is 10 whole hours since we were last on the air. I have a throat lozenge right now to keep my voice going. And it is grand final day. Thank you so much for those bits. I'll come to that in a moment. Fantastic to see you all. Don't worry, John Model is coming. John Model is coming. But he also needs to have the model ready. So he's doing some work here. But I will bring him on in a second to say hello and explain what we're going to do today. This is the final stream before the Eurovision Song Contest 2026 takes place, and the second last stream we're going to do in Vienna. We will, of course, do one tomorrow, where we react to whatever the hell is going to unfold tonight, and God knows what way it's going to go. But today is our last chance to reflect, to go through everything, to say what we're excited about for tonight, to reflect on the state of the contest, and we're going to do all of those things. As well as talking about some of the live issues that have affected the contest this week, some of the things that have happened over the last 24, 48 hours, and so on. So, firstly, later on today, do not go anywhere, because we will be getting the final prediction of the model, which will be coming in an hour or two, basically when it's ready. But first, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, here is the man himself. Currently James Stephenson. He doesn't have the jacket on, so he's not John Model yet. James, kindly come have a seat right here. Welcome back. How are you feeling?
Morning. It's afternoon. I did the exact same thing you did.
How are you feeling, James?
It's
been a long week.
Eurovision. I'm feeling good. Look, it's the day of the Eurovision Grand Final. There are some things that are interesting. It is very wet outside, which is why I look a bit like I've just, been dragged in, as far as I'm concerned.
We found him passed out in the street this morning.
What John Model does, I'm not in control of. But look, it's an exciting day.
It is. Thoughts, feelings, excitements, worries for tonight. Where are we at?
I'm trying to just keep an open mind, really. I mean, you never quite know in the modern Eurovision Song Contest exactly what is going to happen in the voting sequence. We have all spent 12 months talking about this voting sequence. It has been the thing on the lips of news media, broadcasters, the EBU, ourselves. Everyone will be looking at this with a very critical eye. And we all remember where we were last year. I am hopeful that it will be a lot smoother than last year. But of course, you never want to rule out things.
Yeah, I feel, and I hope everyone else feels, a little more mentally prepared, given that I feel like last year we all got a little bit complacent, I think, about what might happen. And so when that score came for Israel during the televote sequence, it hit us like a freight train.
Yeah.
I think this year everyone is expecting it because of the, sort of some of the stuff that's going on. Of course, we will talk about that today. More generally, I'm hopeful that others who have earned those points will win through, and I have confidence that they will, because I think that the ceiling, sort of being fair about it, the ceiling for that song, even with extreme amounts of manipulation from pro-Israeli groups and so on that we started seeing today, which I'll talk about in a bit, is still too low. Hopefully. So we have big favourites. Did you see the jury show last night?
I did see the jury show last night.
Who do you think has put themselves in a position to go and win Eurovision tonight?
See, I will get into this later when we do the full model, but what I'll say, I think there are only 3 countries that can win.
Okay.
I know who the 3 are. One of them is probably going to win the jury, I would have thought. The other 2 are fighting for the televote.
Okay.
And realistically, I think on the jury show performance, none of them were hurt by it. One of them had a couple of wobbles in the vocal. But then again, I think we're only talking about that because she has been so 10 out of 10 in every other performance that anything feels weird with her.
Well, now I've got you now. I know you're talking about Australia.
Yeah,
but then again, it's hardly
Australia.
news to say that I think today that Australia is in the running to win.
100%.
And I'm going to have a look at the betting odds in a minute once I banish you back to model duty. We're going to have a look at the betting odds, and Australia is in a really strong position. Taking that aside, emotionally, sentimentally, today, what would be like the most happy ending fairy tale victory story.
That we go to Helsinki or Tampere, I think.
You think so?
That feels like the happiest possible ending that I think is plausible. I think, if you want Finland to win today, there are so many signs that appear to be in your favour.
Mm-hmm.
Number 17 in the running order is
Beautiful
where
spot.
Lordi performed 20 years ago. They've got Moldova before, which there's been some conflicting stories about how Moldova's
I think it's going to pump people up. I actually think it's going to be fun.
it might pump people up. I think it gets the crowd in the exact position to be ready for Linda and Pieter. And then they've got the break after. So there's so much time to let it settle, which I think is good for them. And yeah, I think you would have to call them the favourites. They look to be worthy of that tag.
Mm-hmm. They've not put a foot wrong all week.
No, I think their jury show performance was as good as we've seen in the live.
Mm-hmm.
They have, I think, fulfilled their end of the bargain up until this point. There's a lot of people within the Eurovision space who say they can win. Edward af Sillén came out, whether it was last night or this morning, and said he believes it is Finland's time. I am getting the feeling it may be Finland's time. I don't know whether this happens, but if it does, especially for you, it would be an extremely happy ending.
I mean, 2 years ago, in the second video I ever made on this channel, I said that Finland is going to win Eurovision in the next 5 years. And I've been accused of glazing from time to time.
And rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I've been accused of being overly hopeful, and I've tried this year deliberately to limit my expectations because I'm conscious of that and I'm trying to correct for my own biases. If Finland wins tonight, I would be so overjoyed because I know how much they want it, and also because hard work pays off. This Finland story only really started in the 2020s. Finland was so in the wilderness in Eurovision for so long. They took a national selection show that was honestly pretty terrible. And they put it back together again. They rebuilt it from scratch. They built their own system. They did it their way. They've built it into one of the best national selection shows in Europe. And they've built one of the best infrastructures to organically create multiple competitive songs every single year. I think if they won tonight, it would show hard work pays off and that anyone can do it. Finland is not a big country. It's not a country with unlimited money. If they can do it, there are 20 countries in Europe that can do this.
100,000%. And the one thing I would say tonight, whoever wins this contest, I only want one thing to be true, which is that the winner has done it fairly and squarely tonight. On merit and with full integrity and trust in what we've seen. Mm-hmm. That's the happiest ending, really, is if we get a winner that is fair. Mm-hmm. We are going to see what happens tonight. Obviously, you and I have been around this circus now for so long. We've seen so many different things. You never quite know what's going to happen on a grand final night, especially at the minute. But that's what I hope for, fair and square, so that we can have trust in the thing we love again.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing is, ultimately, the contest's integrity is under threat as it has been in the last 2 years. The difference this year is that you and I and everyone watching this stream, everyone who's been following along, the wider public and news media are alive to it. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. For now, though, I think I'm going to sort of go through that and talk about some of the things we've seen over the last 48 hours. I'm going to
type in some numbers.
Yes, you've got stats to do.
The hidden numbers.
So,
couple hours.
We will allow you to resume your place as John Model. And I'm just, if you pull that chair all the way along to next to you, there we go. Whoop. Here we are. Hello. So, I'm going to quickly go through the super chats, and then I'm going to sort of start framing today around some of the key things that are going on. Zoom Torch says, which year has the best host postcards, interval act, scoreboard, and general graphic? One answer for each category, can be the same year. Okay, best hosts. I think, without meaning to go for the easy answer, Petra Mjelde, I think, is the best host of the modern era, easily. Entertaining, has never missed, clearly has the right writing team around her who knew how to write for her. So I'm going with Petra. Postcards, I thought that 23 was really, really gorgeous. I thought 23 was amazing. Best interval acts, I'm also going to say 23 because it's the only time I've ever cried in an interval act. Scoreboard. Gosh, I mean the scoreboards. It's more of an aesthetics thing. I would say I like how fast the Swedes do it, and they don't mess about with it. So I'm going to go with the Swedes. And general graphics, I think. Gosh. I like 21, actually. I really like the graphics in 21. I'm going to go with 21. So, thank you so much. Nitin says, thank you for all your wonderful hours with you, Gabe, your team. Your support for Sarah and Denmark means a lot to me after so many dry Eurovision years. I truly admire your honesty about the challenges Eurovision has faced. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to all of you for being here this week. NP says, I just don't want the same dread of the split screen. I want it to be joyful no matter who is on it. I agree. And I really hope we don't end up in that position again, because at that point, I think I'd feel so tired. I'd feel so tired and emotionally exhausted and disappointed that we've gone through everything in the last year only to come around to the exact same position again. And I very much hope it doesn't happen. Misfit says, first of all, thank you for your coverage and during the rehearsals. I've been lurking on catching up to the VODs during these hectic weeks. I've enjoyed them thoroughly. I appreciate you not shying away from heavier topics. Keep up the good work. Hope tonight provides a good winner. Personally, I'm furiously hoping for Finland. Thank you so much. And I feel a lot of the same feelings as you. And I'm really glad that you're all here. So here are the odds as we go into Eurovision Day. God, it was Eurovision month, and then it was Eurovision week, and now it's Eurovision Day. I'm going to move the chat out of the way. There we go. So it's not covering it up. Here we go. It is Finland, 41% chance to win, clear at the moment. You'll see that the big change is Australia has surged this morning, and you can see just how dramatic it is. From really never seen as more than an outsider until this week, things have really taken off for Delta Goodrem, and this is what has emerged as the main challenger. I think the feeling is that this could do exceptionally well with the juries and potentially then create such a margin that it becomes difficult for others to win. JLNGG says, the graphics design is definitely a mess, but the sound design and audio islands are one of the best in my opinion. Thank you so much. I will say I really like the sort of tuning up sounds and so on that they do just before the performances. I think that's a nice touch. At the same time, I would have loved to see these nice touches turn into a production that had the same amount of warmth and joy as those little moments do. So, Finland and Australia on the top. For Greece fans, you shouldn't give up yet, but I think you need to accept that's a very loud loco boombox. I'll come back to that in a second. Thank you so much. For Greece fans, I think you need to accept you're going into this evening as an outsider, as an underdog. That suits Achilles a little bit, I think, because the song is plucky, it's a little rebellious, but it is an underdog. I think there's just questions around whether it can really come together and get enough from the juries in particular to see it over the line. You know, we have to really plan for all outcomes in terms of what kind of score you need to win. Will Greece be able to get to those biggest scores? I'm not so sure, especially given there is a lot of competition on the public side now. You know, we've talked before about the effects of Israel and of Ukraine in terms of, you know, because they are getting elevated scores, obviously for very different reasons. I would never put the two countries in the same bracket, to be very clear. That does mean there's less points available for everyone else. You've got Moldova, Romania, Bulgaria, all of whom are coming for those televote points. If these all start tripping over each other, you start opening lanes for others. So, that is where we're at with the odds. Donut says, thank you for the whole week of streams and all the hard work you and the crew have done. We'll be missing the streams when they end. Would you say Austria 26 production and script was one of the worst? Yes, I think the worst of the modern era in terms of script writing. For obvious reasons, the interval acts were very low-powered. There is one this evening, which is entertaining, but most of it, yeah, just not good enough by any stretch, and that's very disappointing. B says, hi Gabe, won't be watching the grand final this year. Mixture of PTSD and boycott. I'll more likely find out the winner from either the Discord or me. Just want to say thanks for being my go-to source for Eurovision news over the last few months. Thank you so much, B. Really appreciate it. People are asking when the model is. The model will be with us I'll check in on James for an ETA every now and then. But James, if you had to say now... About three. So we've got plenty of time to go through everything before we get there. Now, I want to sort of start with the discussion on the on some of the voting integrity and some of the things that we know have been happening today. So this morning I published this on Twitter. I'm going to share it all with you now. I was provided with a copy of this email. This is an email sent by one of the biggest German Israel advocacy groups to all of their members, calling on Israel to vote this evening. There's a translation here, which I'm going to read to you. Dear members, Eurovision should actually be about music, but it has long since become a political propaganda battle. Israel's participation this year is once again accompanied by anti-Israel protests and boycott campaigns. Israeli artists are to be forced out of the competition. These anti-Semitic hate campaigns are difficult for many of us to bear. Precisely for this reason, we don't want to let the boycotters have the last word. Yada, 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 slop, slop, slop. We urge you, vote for Israel. Not only because Michelle is a truly powerful song, but also because we want to show we stand by Israel's side. And then they all say up to 10 votes are possible. Use them for Israel. So, there's long been conversations refuted by Israelis that there is a political campaign to ensure Israel wins for non-musical reasons. They're telling us exactly in chapter and verse. They're telling us what they're doing, and I think what this shows is we know that these groups are becoming active. We know that this political campaign is taking place. And what I will say is, if any of you have access to any similar emails being sent out by other organizations in any country, please let us know. I've talked about this before, about this kind of mid-tier, like grassroots campaign of these, advocacy organizations. And I suspect this isn't the first time. In fact, I suspect it's the third time. It's very, very important that actions are taken to safeguard the integrity of the contest and the voting. And I think this is, for me, a big worry that we're seeing these campaigns on this scale. At the same time, what does that tell us more than anything else? This evening, no matter how many points Israel scores, the well has been poisoned. Their voting total will be illegitimate. We know that because they're admitting it to us, black and white, in writing, that they're doing this for political reasons in order to demonstrate popular support for Israel. There's no kind of debate about this. It's chapter and verse. They're writing it down. They're writing it down and emailing it to everyone on the mailing list. It really is it's not subtle at all. And I think that's part of what's really frustrating about this is they're so blatant with this. Someone says, I mentioned you in a post from Aftonbladet on Twitter. My notifications, I only see notifications from people I follow because I get too many notifications. So if you could send me a message request, then I can look into it. So just send me a message request on Twitter and I'll keep an eye out for that, all right? And then I'll be able to help if I can find my message requests. Well, they're not there. There you go, found them. So if you send me a message request, I will have it I'll be able to have a look at what you are talking about.
Got it for you.
Oh, you've got it?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay, just send it to me on WhatsApp or something. Because apparently there's an Aftonbladet article. I have not seen it yet. Obviously, the thing is with today, things develop very fast. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get news, different things happen on this very stream. So, Aftonbladet reports based on the ESCInsight investigation. And it's paywalled, frustratingly. But the headline is, an individual can vote up to 1,000 times a test from the semi-final has showed. So it is very easy to manipulate. I do not have the full article because it's paywalled. But maybe I should take a look. I'll tell you what, I'll go back to the source. I'm going to jump onto ESCInsight. We're going to have a little look at this investigation, which was published yesterday. So go to escinsight.com. And if you want in-depth work on Eurovision, ESCInsight really is one of the best places to do it because they are so good at what they do. Where is it? How effective is the televotes move to a 10-vote maximum? So this is the investigation published by ESCInsight. And what it showed is that, remember, there was a limited, small voting period in the semi-final. Our results that we were able to cast a total of 90 votes during the period for the same two countries by one person using one device. The only visible constraints were the requirement to use 9 unique bank card numbers and 9 unique email addresses. So, There we go. And the point is, and this is the key thing, you can use prepaid cards, virtual cards, things that are easily accessible, things that can be created quickly. So it's clear that the current measures that have been put in place have not worked. They have not worked, and as a result, we're in this unfortunate position where I would say the conversation is going to shift again. And that's a great place to bring in James Willett's super chat, who says, do you think there's any chance Israel will get excluded before the next contest? Do you think this will just keep happening every year until either Eurovision dies or the genocide ends? So, bear in mind, these measures that were brought in in order to appease broadcasters who were unhappy with the situation, broadcasters who then voted to accept those rules. If the rules fail to control this clearly anomalous repeated result, are broadcasters going to be furious? I would expect so. I can't see any world in which everyone goes, oh, well, that's okay. You did that thing last year and they didn't win, so it's fine. I do think the conversation will become active. Again, I know it's going to be emotionally and physically exhausting to go through off-season having this conversation again. But yes, if the measures fail, when the EBU said the measures would help address the problems, then we end up back in the same position that we were in the day after the contest last year, when myself and James and GJ sat on stream and said, well, this was clearly ridiculous. LAC, thank you for the super chat, says, do you think Albania is capable of a top 10 finish? I think it's going to be tough because there's so much competition at that top end now. I think maybe 15th or so is more likely where it's going to happen. Charlene in chat on YouTube is the author of that ESCInsight piece and is happy to answer any questions. So you can see her there. If you have any questions, just at her in chat and she'll do her best to answer them, if that's okay. We also, the other thing that's worth discussing is there was an interview done with Martin Green yesterday, which has caused some consternation across social media, which was about where one of the questions asked, it was talking about the circumstances around Russia. And to paraphrase, and James has seen this interview as well, so he'll tell me if I paraphrase incorrectly, because it's important we get this accurate. Essentially, the interviewer said, I couldn't find any reason for Russia to be removed according to the rules. You removed it on a point of principle. Martin Green's answer was, there was a broad consensus on this, and then afterwards, their broadcasters were all suspended, so they can't return. The follow-up was, okay, well, if their broadcasters were unsuspended, would there be any reason why they couldn't return? Martin Green's answer was, well, theoretically, no. And then he said, it would be a democratic decision of the membership. So, and this has caused a lot of consternation on social media, and I think especially to those of you who live in a country bordering Russia, or currently at war with Russia, I imagine those comments would cause a lot of consternation. I will say, first off, I think there's no world in which Russia comes back to the contest anytime soon, regardless of what Martin Green says in an interview. I think that, quite frankly, everyone knows that if Russia came back, bye-bye contest. It's not happening. Even in the immediate aftermath of the war, when it does eventually end, that I don't think we'd expect to see Russia coming back anytime soon. I think the broadcasters will probably remain suspended from the EBU, and Russia's interest is not really in the contest at present. There's a different set of motivations for Russia compared to Israel in this context. At the same time, I have to say, I think that there's been a series of missteps this week in terms of the way in which comms have been conducted and some of the things that the contest team have done, and it's sending a lot of the wrong messages to the fans, to the delegations, and it's not helping the situation. It's all well and good to say the contest that you love is still here, but the reality is, even when we turn on the TV and watch it, we can tell because what we're feeling inside is not what we're used to feeling. I remember how the contest felt before. So do all of you. We all know it doesn't feel the same now. And it hasn't felt the same for a few years. And each year, it's encroached, and it's encroached, and it's encroached, and it's sapped away more and more of it. And I think it would be welcome to have to just have a little more, I guess, clear-eyedness about this. And I think the thing is, right, is that from the EBU's point of view, they're in this ridiculous situation where they've got this decision that has been made to have Israel in, made by themselves and their broadcasters back in December. And now it means that essentially you have to maintain this kind of nothing to see here, everything is fine kind of thing, which blatantly makes no sense to any of us. I mean, all of you will look at this in the same way I do, where we look at it and go, this is, come on, like... And it causes such a bigger PR problem because it deepens the wedge between the contest and the fans. I think quite understandably, a lot of people feel like they're not being treated with respect or honesty. And that's a massive problem because that creates a division in trust that is more difficult to heal than already. Larsesh in chat says, you are not a Eurovision fan, Gabe. Have you been paying attention? Man who has job talking about Eurovision. Hello, me here. I did this. Have you been around? Is it your first time? It's nice to see you. If so, welcome to the stream. But there we go. The Snoolu says, do you think they're panicking a little about the survey too? Surely they're not getting the feedback they wanted. The survey is interesting, and I think it does show that at least on some institutional level, there is at least an awareness of the need to try and rebuild bridges with fans. A survey isn't going to do it, though. I think the thing is we're all so dug in here, right? And I, for one, feel extremely sort of firm on this. I can't see any way that the trust is rebuilt unless Israel is removed from the contest. I mean, realistically, is there anything? I'm genuinely asking chat this, because for me, I don't see a way. Is there anything the EBU could do that would keep Israel in the contest and rebuild trust with the fans? I really can't see any way that is feasible on any shape or form on any level. And there we go. The answer is an immediate no. So it's clear what has to happen for that trust to be rebuilt. And hopefully your answers in that survey that we've talked about, and if someone could post the link in chat in case you haven't filled it in already, go ahead, tell me. I think the only way in the sort of, I think the next 10, 15, 20 years even, that Eurovision fans would accept an Israeli participation would be if it followed a resolution that was accepted by the Palestinians and created a situation that Palestinians found acceptable. In that situation, do I think Eurovision fans may have a little more wiggle room? Yes. But right now, in my opinion, there is no flexibility, and nor should there be. I feel totally inflexible about this, and I'm going to remain inflexible about this. Israel should not be in Eurovision. They don't have to publish the survey results. I don't know what they're going to do with them, but at the same time, in a best case, it's the kind of thing you do to use as ammunition for internal discussions. To say, look, this is what the fans think. You know, could you use these survey results if they came out in the way we expect them to as a kind of reputational risk argument, brand risk argument? Yes, I don't know what they're doing with this though. I don't know what the motivation is. That's just one possible outcome. You know, I think I have to say, you know, I understand why people are very cynical about their intentions here. I have to kind of really suppress the cynicism myself to try and, you know, at least see, okay, what could be the different motivations. Jintara says, I hope we can one day return to a time where the grand final fills us as a community with joy and excitement rather than fear and dread. Yeah, completely agree. Let's get there. I think that would be really something. Cricket says, sending you the money my wife and I would normally spend voting. Our mini protest this year is not voting. Go for Romania. Thank you so much, Crickets. Really appreciate your support. And yeah, I think a lot of people are in your position where they're choosing not to vote this year, and it's very understandable as to why. Grams makes an important point. The focus on Israel and Palestine is going to be more and more forgotten as we move on to the next major movement to focus on. I think it depends. I think this has become too entrenched in Eurovision at the moment for there to be a way in which it just kind of fades, at least in the immediate term. And unless you guys want to do this another 5 times, there's no way that it fades at any reasonable pace. You'd need such a dramatic shift in the geopolitical reality for that to happen. And I just don't think it's going to happen. You know, think about it. the invasion of Ukraine, the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, of course, because the invasion first happened in 2014. The full-scale invasion has been going on for 4 years. And there's been no change in the political acceptability of Russia being in the contest. I don't think there is any reason to suspect that will change with with the Israel thing as well. Rhyme Rocks says, I don't think it's only about if we go for peace and free Palestine, Khan still has major problems to solve and everything regarding Eurovision. There is this ongoing thing about Khan privatization. The current government in Israel has tried to privatize Khan so many times, basically every year or every other year. And that is something that could throw another spanner in a whole different way we don't expect. Megan Alkin says, what are your thoughts on the boycott of people not wanting to vote? I understand, but could this play into Israel's hands if people don't? I think it depends on where we are. If the voting was as anomalous and so statistically impossible as it was last year, where we saw with the Spanish televote that the Israeli share of the vote was so ridiculous that anyone could look at it and say it's totally laughable. Realistically, is it going to make a blind bit of difference? No. You can't do much about that. But beyond that, it's up to you, right? You should do the things that make you feel right. Some people in this chat aren't watching tonight. Some people aren't voting. Some people are voting for favorites, things like this. It depends on what you feel is best. I think did I miss a super chat? No, I didn't. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm up to date. Natalia says, Carol Kuzniak, thank you so much. Thank you for all your hard work, Gabe. Thank you for all being here. And also, I'm really glad. I hope you all enjoyed the super late stream last night. John Waddle is somewhere in this flat. I don't think he's going to be making an appearance on today's stream. He's sitting next to John Waddle currently. I'm not sure if John Waddle knew that John Waddle is the name of the penguin.
Is it?
Yes, it is. You can hear him laughing. Anyway.
Penguin after me.
Yes, the chat, not me, the chat did. Thanks so much I just saw a couple more. Somewhere in the Skies, thank you so much for the super chats. Really appreciate that. Tom and Orange, thank you too. Says, the only compromise I can see the EBU making is temporary withdrawal, which would allow countries back in a loophole. I do wonder whether that could be something that comes onto the table after this year if we see a similar thing. This is the thing, is we're kind of still in the dark. None of us know what is going to happen tonight. None of us know whether it's going to be, 100 points or 350 points or somewhere in between. But the fact that we are seeing these things means we can realistically expect it to be insanely inflated again. Ms. Mesmerism, thank you so much, says, have my vote money as part of the rest of the world vote. I can't stomach paying the EBU to vote. Yeah, I think this is the thing, is a lot of people, it doesn't sit right with them at the moment, and that's very understandable. Thank you so much. So, I think we'll talk a bit more about this later. There is a lot to discuss, a lot to consider around this issue. This is obviously one of the biggest live issues today. I do want to talk us through the show tonight, so let's do that. Lilac Sporty Dog says, what you did in the jury show for the children should be replicated by all broadcasters. It was a beautiful thing you did. Thank you, I really appreciate that. It was just something that I felt was important to remember, because while we get lost in all of this stuff about the voting, that is the most important thing, and that's the underlying reason for all of this. Why we're in this position, and they're the ones that matter the most. It's sad that broadcasters would be penalised for doing such a thing. And that's all the more reason why we should do it, because we are in a position where we can. Draco, thank you so much, saying, hoping we win tonight. That's Finland. Can't handle another carrier situation. Giving you my televotes and blatantly stealing the moment of silence from my watch party during Israel's performance. Much love. And 100%. Use that time well. It's a Mammal says, thank you for the amazing coverage. I really appreciate this. I really appreciate all of your love this morning. And I really appreciate you guys going on this journey with us this week, even in the most difficult of circumstances. I know it can't have been easy for a lot of people. What we're going to do is we are going to take a little look at some of these songs tonight. We're going to go through the running order. We're going to go through, who we're excited for, because, there are lots of these artists who deserve this spotlight, who deserve the chance to do this free of, the manipulation that we've seen. The big headlines from the running order. Let's start number 1, Denmark. That is a headline in itself. The fact Denmark is here is quite extraordinary and really very sad. I really feel for the Danes that what started with such promise has kind of had the brakes put on. The draw did really limit the options that you could put stuff first here. You couldn't do Bulgaria. You couldn't do Moldova because they opened their semi-finals. GKL says, I've dreamt Finland having 148% winning odds. Well, wouldn't that be nice? Well, for the Finns at least. I think someone had to go first. Unfortunately, it was Denmark. If it makes you feel any better, statistically, and I'm going to quickly go to the statistics voice from in the room, who will say that first is actually a slightly better than average position. It's from second that you're in trouble, right?
Yeah, usually, although in the grand final that actually doesn't hold as much.
But it's not as bad as you might think. It's not great, but it's not terrible.
No, to be honest, I'd say overall, the running order matters less than it used to because the voting window now goes over the whole show.
Okay, that's the other thing. Because the voting window is open for the whole show, people who want to vote Denmark might just pick up their phones and vote Denmark straight away. Wouldn't that be nice? Germany second. This makes perfect sense as a death slot pick. All respect to Sarah Engels, who has really, really, sort of done her best this week to sell this song, to improve it. But the song is still the song. And it's still, going to be eclipsed by songs like Bulgaria. I'm not surprised at all that Germany was second. Israel third. What can I say? Best friends stick together. Belgium fourth. Again, I think Isila, not surprised that she's early in this. She's not a contender with respect, and for that reason, someone has to go there. Albania fifth. I think this maybe reflects the fact that, you want to change your pace after the sort of slightly faster start. I think it's good that they've done it in this way because Albania provides a nice little break and also a really emotional moment nice and early in the show. The Greeks are up sixth, and James, I'll come to your super chat in a moment. Thank you. Greece sixth, I think, early enough to have a minor impact, not so early as to completely, kibosh the chances. Let's not forget, for example, Salvador Sobral won from seventh in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. So you can win from that early. It will be the earliest winner in a while, but you can do it. Then you have Ukraine seventh. This is a better draw than 2024, that's for sure. And we should remember that Ukraine scored over 300 televote points from second in the running order. That was really, really quite something, really stunning. This year, I think Ukraine, it doesn't seem to me to be threatening the high places, but it will score well. I'd love to see 300 points in total for Ukraine tonight, and I think that's not out of the realms of possibility. It is a really beautiful song with an important story, and I'm glad that we were able to cover that earlier in the season. If you want to, there's a whole bunch of videos about a whole bunch of these songs that you can go and watch on my channel from throughout the season. You will have time this afternoon to watch them before the show, if it helps you get in the mood. Eighth is Australia. Now, this is the biggest of big hitters in the first half. Late enough that there's no major negative running order effect, I would feel. She delivered an extraordinary performance last night. She won the audience poll. A couple of little blips, but they were so small and everything else was so good, I don't think there'll be a major penalising factor. If I had to call the jury right now, I would call it for Australia. They really, really did everything they needed to do. Beyond that, I think, that will put them in a really strong position. Essentially, there is an element here of, okay, how many points does each country need to be ahead of Israel in order to, after the jury vote, in order to win? I would say for Australia, 200. I would want Australia at least 200 points away from Israel in order for Australia to have more points in total for sure. I think that will happen because 260, 270 seems like the kind of place I would put Australia. Israel, I think, will have problems getting past 50 because it's just dull and there's so many other jury contenders. So Australia is going to be right up there. Serbia, I have to give some flowers because they really excelled last night. There was some really technical sort of growling and screaming vocals, which I hope the juries will appreciate, but I don't think they will because the juries tend not to appreciate this kind of thing. Lavino have really done everything right since they got here. They've been super, super consistent. Hopefully, for fans of this, you found that it's been a pretty drama-free week for Serbia. They've showed up, they've done what they needed to do pretty reliably each time, and it seems to have paid off for the most part. Just quickly, before we go into the next column, I am going to go through the super chats. It's Marcus says, are you going to do something after the season? Well, we have Eurovision Asia coming, maybe some other bits. Just going to see how it goes. I'd love to also do some non-Eurovision things as well. I think it might be healthy for us. I was at that show, says, thank you so much for your content. Wanted to follow Eurovision closely this season. You brilliantly kept me informed while remaining steadfastly on the right side of history. Big love. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sticky Sounds Zine, as well, for your £5 super chat. James said, what's been the best year musically? Thank you for your super chat. Best year musically. I thought 21 was really fantastic, but the fact we hadn't had it in 2 years probably helped with that. 24 had some really great songs, really, really great songs. I think the last 2 years it struggled a little more. We've been looking for a sort of global hit and we haven't really got it. Dratopia says, hello, a lot of people don't realize a huge advantage that Romania doesn't have for almost a decade, the diaspora. That is just as big as Ukraine's. Yes, and hopefully, we may see that effect. I'll come on to Romania's chances in a minute because 100%, I think that is something we need to have a look at. Malta is 10th in this show. I feel like it's still a good performance. It's not quite what I hoped. I don't think we're going to see a high finish, but I think you'll see a solid performance. Aiden really did the job last night, did what he needed to do in a way that felt solid, that felt like it came together. It's going to get drowned out, I think, by some of the big hitters in the jury, but at the same time, it will be picking up those points. Czechia is going to be above it, in my opinion. Czechia, stunning last night. Again, vocally, he has been so, his control has been so good. So good all week. I don't think he's missed a note in any rehearsals. He's been so calm. His voice has stayed so stable, and we saw that last night too. I think if people are sort of looking, if the juries were looking for technique and control, they have to give this big point. I would love to see this in the top 3 or 5 in the jury. I think it might struggle with the public, but I think that's fine. I would love to see 150 or more for Czechia tonight. That would be a fantastic result. It would represent one of their best results in years, and it would be great for them. I think they need this encouragement to stay in the contest in future. If they did even better than expected and ended up as a dark horse overall, that would be amazing. Next is Bulgaria, and we're going to have a little look at the odds here because this has been the real insurgent alongside Romania this week. And if you look at this as we speak, since the start of this stream, Bulgaria has gone up to 5th place in the odds to win Eurovision ahead of Romania. The momentum behind Dara is crazy. The numbers on social media for this song have been looking amazing. It is absolutely the kingpin girl bop of this edition. Can that be transformed into a winner? We'll have to see. I think the ceiling for this with the public goes past 200. If the jury gets on board with it, who knows what could happen? I think we can't rule it out. And I'm really interested to see where this goes with the model later on today. For those of you just joining us around, I think it's still around 3 o'clock, looks good. James is nodding. 3 o'clock there or thereabouts will be when we will get the result for the model. Personally, I think on a purely romance basis, for a country that came so close in the late 2010s, for a country that's just returned to the contest, and for a city that I know is beautiful, but Eurovision has not had a chance to be in, wouldn't Sofia be a lovely host city? I'd be so happy to go to Sofia with all of you next year. And I'm getting lots of approving reactions from the watching audience. That'd be a fun thing to do next year, actually. I'm just kind of spitballing here. It would be fun to do like an ESC live stream with an audience. I'd want to do it with a free entry thing. Find a room somewhere and wherever we go. Get 50 of you, 80 of you, however many in the room, and do a live stream with a live studio audience. Wouldn't that be fun? Jan Jansa says, I'm at a watch party with casuals tonight. Do you have a short speech I could say before the Israeli act to emphasize the problems with them? I wouldn't say a short speech as such. Thank you so much, Matta, for the gifted sub there. I think, you've been here, you've been watching the same things as us. We've been going through this together the whole season. Just come back to all the things that we have been covering the whole time. So let's continue with the running order. Croatia follows Bulgaria. The jury show performance I would give, and I'm going to quickly again ask for an indication from the others watching in the room here, which is maybe a 7.5 out of 10. Didn't feel like it was quite perfect last night. Not as good as the semi-finals. Croatia. Yeah, they're saying broadly yes. I think it would still be pretty good. It definitely has some potential. It'll get some jury votes. Tons in the Balkans. Going to do so well in the Balkans. It's not going to get super high up. I would say it has limitations. The running order spot has done it favours. It's in a good place in the middle of the pack. Not great being just after Bulgaria, but it does stand out. I think there's a limited sort of upside for this. Eliant says, from Philippines, usually only watch VODs. This channel makes me feel connection from OBS. And the reconnection, it says reconnection successful. So it immediately came back. That said, I can see some lagging, so we are going to deal with that. I'm going to get the backup. Wi-Fi, it didn't split the stream. Are we back? I think we're back. Hello. I hope the stream split. We'll see in the... So I guess we'll see in a second. I can still see there's problems, so I am going to try and change the Wi-Fi anyway. Come on, come on. Yes, there we go. Okay, hello? Is anyone there? I think that was fast enough for the stream not to split. We will see in a minute. Everyone on YouTube will let us know. Hello, we're back, held together. Everyone have a round of applause for the fact that it... Reconnection successful? Are we here? Okay, so we had to go to our third backup. Yes, we had 2 redundant options. This is not good for my mental health, but we are alive. Everyone in the house, please disconnect from the Wi-Fi. Thanks. So, we'll continue where we left off. Thank you for your patience. That was unfortunate. Hopefully you've all stayed and we can now continue. And look, Mum, we're back. Indeed, for now. I'm not going to curse it, but that is the strangest thing. We went from one connection to another. That connection also went. And then we had even more problems. So I'm a bit confused as to where we are at the moment. I really hope it'll hold on. Just promise you'll all bear with us and we'll get through this together, all right? So, deep breaths. The United Kingdom is next. Maybe this was... The BBC are worried about finishing last and they tried to stop us before we talked about them. I have to say I am worried about finishing last. I am worried about the UK tonight. I really hope they just give a good performance and that we get some points on the board. I think that's all that any of us want, right? All that any of us want is for the UK to at least get something, whether it's 1, whether it's 20. I guess we will see in the model later what the projection is. Let's not forget that the model got 10 out of 10 qualifiers in the second semi. So, fingers crossed. I have to say, I think that we have a decent entry. I really don't think it's as bad as people say. I think it's... I prefer it to last year. I prefer it to all of our entries since Sam Ryder, actually. And hopefully it will come through. I am obviously worried of that 0. Hopefully it won't be the case. Everything okay through there? I just heard some crashing. Okay, Cynthia says everything's fine. I'm not going to ask any questions. One of my goats will go to the UK tonight. One of my votes will go to the UK tonight, says Aura. That said, I mean, I'm sure we would accept your goats as well. Thank you very much for your super chat. Liam says, just want to say thank you for all you've done this year. You've shown me how to love Eurovision again in these bad times. Big thanks to all you've done. Thank you so much. I think I might have read that one twice, but in any case, I'm glad you did. So, let's keep going in the hope we don't get slimed. France. Liam, don't worry, I just read it out, so hopefully you saw that. France is also, I think, getting slimed a little bit. They were a pre-show favourite, and it's really not gone to plan this week. I mean, if we look at these odds here, you can see we're all the way down in 9th, and this is really, it is a quite extraordinary fall-off. Let me zoom out so you guys can see this. I mean, look at this graph. That's really quite something, and it seems that the conversation has completely moved away from it. I would say nobody is even talking about France as a potential winner now, whereas before, they were right up there. So is it Frova? Yes, Monrova indeed. Let me drink some water. People are saying it feels like a demonstration. I agree. It feels like a technical demonstration. It doesn't have the emotion that we needed. You know, it's stunning, of course, but it's just too shiny and rough. And not rough, tough around the edges. It doesn't have any kind of way to look into it. And that is really, really, you know, a shame. I think there was a lot of hope for this, and that hope has maybe not materialized in the way fans of the song would help. I did see that there's this one guy who's been posting AI-generated pro-France, anti-Finland posts for weeks on Twitter. Even he has given up. And, like, when you've lost even the AI-generated pro-France, like, bot account, that is, you know that you're in trouble. So we're going to move on to Moldova. 16th place in between France and Finland. There's a gap before them and then after Finland. So for Moldova and Finland, I think they're in a good place. I have high hopes for Moldova in the televote tonight, but I don't think they will be able to surpass Bulgaria. I actually think that Bulgaria is the kind of dark horse to come flying through along with Romania. Moldova's going to be in that upper group, but sadly, I have to say, a victory for Moldova in the contest tonight is not on the table. Excuse me, I drank water too quickly and now my body is rebelling against me. I should say I have extremely poor digestion. To every meal, it's kind of, I have a bit of a sort of battle afterwards. Anyway, Paige Possu says, buy some better internet. Jokes aside, I've appreciated your coverage a lot this year. Your video on Moldova has partially inspired me to plan a trip to Eastern Europe for early 28. Buy yourself and Jay a nice drink. I'm going to buy Cynthia a drink as well. Thank you so much. I will say, we are always constrained by circumstances. We don't know what internet we're going to get really until we arrive. That's the problem with Airbnb and so on. At the same time, I hope you guys agree that having 3 separate networks ready to go and being able to switch through them live on stream in order to save it so that the stream doesn't split is about as prepared as we can be. And so we've done everything we can. I suspect Cynthia may be making me some kind of tea or something.
Not really, but do you want tea?
Could I have ginger and lemon tea? Honey, I think my voice is going again. And maybe another, if the throat lozenges are still around somewhere. This is now, obviously we streamed for 6 hours last night. I went to bed, got up and immediately started streaming again. Thank you so much. The absolute legend that is Sam from the Douze Points from America podcast, or is it 12 Points from America? 12 Points from America, sorry. I afflicted you with unsolicited French. Brought throat lozenges today. So big love to Sam, thank you so much. So, number 17, France. No, Finland. France was 15. Number 17, Finland. The clear favourite. They have everything set up for them, in my opinion. Perfect running order. Perfect, sort of slot. This is the slot that Lordi had 20 years ago. They have a gap afterwards. There is a show break after Finland. This is about as much as they could have hoped for. And if they were going to win with this song, everything is set up. They did fine last night. They did enough. And they are still a clear favourite and more favoured to win than they were after rehearsals. If you look, things just went up and up. And in this, since the running order came out, they've been in the early 40s kind of range. So it seems at the moment that the most likely outcome is that we'll be going to Finland next year. If you can hear the kettle is on, that's how you know things are serious in this house. Cynthia just did a big, flexing her muscles. So she is, she's got everything in control today. Finland is the clear favourite. What can they do tonight? All they have to do, I've been saying this all along, show up, do what they've been doing for the last few months. If it's enough, it's enough. If it's not, it's not. Obviously, I hope that we have the most exceptional performance and that it is the best it's ever been, but they've done everything they needed to do. They have the live violin, they have the staging, they have the story. Let's see what happens. I think they can do it tonight, and I think many others of you agree. I'll do a poll once I've done the running order of who you feel is the favourite to win tonight from the top favourites, and we will see. 18th, Poland. Bit of a sacrificial lamb coming after Finland. But, it's tough, right? I think the thing is with Poland, they'll be really pleased to be here. They earned their place here by essentially massively outperforming expectations in the semi-finals. How much further that can go is a question. One of the big indicators in the semi-finals that Poland did very well with the audience poll. That didn't happen. They came 17th this time around. So that momentum has faded away, maybe because the surprise has faded. The Euro fans who saw it for the first time in the week and who voted for it and were impressed are no longer there. At least that is the impression that I get. So, tough for Poland. Let's hope they get some jury points. I think they deserve some kind of love. Love to see them get a 12 from somewhere just to give Alicia her moment. Lithuania. Last in the audience poll, but made it through to this final. I think we're going to see a lower result for Lithuania than we've seen in the last few years. But I think we have to talk about the fact that Lithuania now has one of the longest qualification streaks in the contest. They have qualified every year since 2021. That is 6 in a row. You don't do that by accident. And I think it's really impressive that they've managed to maintain this, each year, despite the fact that often their national final has had problems with, vote rigging allegations this year and various things and controversies. They find a way to make it work, the staging works, and every year they've brought something of really high quality. And I think you have to say, if you have the third longest qualification streak in the contest, you have to say, yes, you could consider them a powerhouse. Is it the third longest? James is nodding, but I'm not so sure. They 6 is a very long thing. Yes, you should consider Lithuania a kind of, I would say, minor powerhouse, right? And, you know, I'd love to see this do really well. I love this song. It's one of my favorites of the year. Do I think it has mass appeal? No. I'm really glad it's here. They've continued the streak. And tonight he'll give a really great performance. 4th longest streak. There we go. Norway, Finland, Sweden has a longer one. Sweden has a longer one. Ukraine has a longer one. Finland has an equal one. Also 21. Denmark, no. Gosh, I can't think of anyone else. Yeah, that's it.
Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Ukraine, though.
But they're joint with Finland.
Oh, yes, of course.
So there we go. That's your. So it's you know it's seriously good work. Seriously good work from the Lithuanians. They've done it again this year. Sweden 20th. So Felicia unfortunately fainted on stage after her performance last night. The performance was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. She got through. She fainted on stage. She's fine today. She was dehydrated. She'll be able to perform, no problem. I'm sure they'll be keeping a close eye on her welfare. The Swedish delegation is one that really knows what they're doing. They're very professional. They are very sort of on it. So let's see what happens. People are saying lag, but there was no lag. You 1-guide me, or like 3-guide me. There was like 3 of you. I can see right here when there's lag, you know. I do know if there's lag. Anyway, yes, stay hydrated indeed. That is going to be the key mission for Felicia today. I think, you know, she's done most of what she needs to do. Tonight, if she delivers on the same level, we'll get a middle result, which is really, really nice for her. Cyprus, her best performance was last night. So much better last night. You know, it was like night and day, basically. And I really, you know, think I'm really proud of Antigone for pulling it together. She gave it her very, very best. And I think it shows that her variance is clearly quite high. At her best, she is really solid. At her worst, which we maybe saw in the semi-final, not so much. Apparently there was lag for a few seconds, by the way, but it was only a very short one. So I think I got Janiced slightly, and now I have been unjaniced.
Remember Janice?
I miss Janice. Thank you very much, honey. Look, a cup of tea just appeared from the heavens. There we go. I'll have to leave that for 10, 15 minutes just to cool down. So, Italy, 22nd. It's actually a really nice draw for Italy. They've got lots of space to breathe. Very different songs before them and after them. I think it's going to be a real tonic to people. People are going to get on board with it. It's such a sweet song. Such a nice song. And I would love to see Sal Da Vinci land in the top 10 at the end of this. Will it happen? I don't know. To be honest, the top of the field is getting so busy that he could be 4th, he could be 14th. We'll have to see. Someone asked, is that a McDonald's cup? Where? No, I don't have a McDonald's cup here. I have this glass, which is just a green glass. And I have a mug, which is just a pink mug. So, Norway, 23rd. Jonas, let's be under no illusions here. This is not something that's going to compete at the top of the scoreboard. Jonas gave it his best when his voice... He has severe problems with his voice. He's been having like laryngitis or something this week. He's managed it really well. It's a testament to his professionalism that he's managed this to such an extent that he managed to get through the semi-final, get to the final. Tonight, I just really hope his voice improves enough that he can give his 100% best performance. And we will have to see. Sorry for audio being quiet. There we go. I've just turned it up slightly. That should help. I also got a lozenge in here right now, so I don't want to hear I don't want you guys to hear me sort of going slop. Romania, 24th. And let's take a look at those odds again. Romania is considered to be in this chasing pack, which basically lasts from 3rd down to 6th, where, you know, they're the sort of the outside shots at winning. They could do it. Yes, I do think they could. They need to win the televote. They need the diaspora to come out, and they need other people to be convinced too. You can't just win with a diaspora, especially given that some of those countries, like Ireland, which would give a lot of points, the Netherlands would give a lot of points, are not here. And they're, of course, very, very missed. So, what does Romania need to do? Just deliver. I thought she was really good last night. There was some weird discourse on social media saying like she missed up, but I don't think she did. She seemed totally fine to me. And people are saying, that it's not correct. She had a small voice cracked. I think it was only a small thing, and it's not a massive shake. You got to bear in mind, we're not expecting Romania to win the jury anyway, so it probably won't have a huge difference. Yeah, I'm feeling fine. I am feeling fine. Witty Alpaca asks, how do you feel about all the new countries getting hype around them? I think it's really nice because how many years has it been since we saw Romania this high? Like, I'm thinking to the watching audience, maybe Paula Selling and Ovi the first time.
The first time,
2010.
2010, Romania was considered a contender.
Yodel it maybe?
Yodel it, yeah, on the televote side for sure. We are talking more than a decade since since Romania has been in this position. And it must be really nice for Romanian Euro fans to feel this. Again, people are saying Roxton 2020 doesn't count. Contest got cancelled, and also that hype died as soon as Cherry Red didn't win that in a national selection. And let's be honest, like, Alcohol You was fine, but it would have come like 8th. And it would have been easily out-sad-girled by Bulgaria, ironically. So, 25th and last, Austria. Not coming last in the final, let me tell you that. This is really fun. You guys are really going to enjoy it, just as you did the other night. The staging's so inventive, it's so clever. And I just think it's really, really an excellent job that they've done to pull this together in such a way that it makes so much sense. I enjoy it so much. I've still got this throat lozenge. I think you can hear it is working a little bit. My voice has cleared up slightly. I'm getting some thumbs up in the room. Thanks, honey. So thank you to, literally, I couldn't do this without all of these people. Mental support, literal support on the stream, network support, spare Wi-Fi networks, all kinds. But yes, to this day, we still think of Tears getting sober from Bulgaria. So, the question is who will win? And it really is, it's such a even field, in my opinion, especially once you get into this midsection. We talked about, sort of had the favourites, which are these two, the outsiders, and then the midfield, which in my opinion, basically, these countries that are not in contention, starts at Denmark, but goes down to maybe even Albania, where they could finish in basically any order. I think it's going to be really fascinating to see what happens. I think, though, I would suspect that we may see a little clustering around the favourites, because I think people might vote smart tonight. I think because people are very conscious of what's going on with Israel, I think increasingly people might look at the odds, might want to know who they're voting for. I mean, we know for a fact, and we've been talking about this for years, that this is now the most informed electorate, if you like, that we've ever had in Eurovision. So, I'm going to do the poll. Who will win Eurovision? And I'm going to write it now. And then once the poll is done, I'm going to ask for the briefest of moments for John Model, James Stephenson, to come and give his opinion so I can go to the toilet. So I'm going to set up this poll now, and then you will have a quick James Stephenson interlude, if that's all right, James.
That's no problem. I'll be there in 10 seconds.
Thank you. So, who will win? And so we're going to do our big favourites, Finland and Australia. And then I'm going to put in Greece. And then I'm going to say someone else. We're probably going to have to do a runoff round here between like Bulgaria, Romania, Denmark potentially. But we will see. For now, start voting. Hopefully there will be no lag spikes or anything while you're gone. I'll fix them as quickly as I can. John Muddle, would you like to come and tell us who, just on a personal level, you think is going to win Eurovision? I'll even put you on full screen.
I'll come in.
And you can sit on my chair.
I am going to sit in your chair because why not? Why not run it?
Tell everyone, what do you think? Who's winning Eurovision?
This is nice, everyone. Hello. You see, when I look at this and I actually have the whole thing in front of me, I think, how on earth does Gabe does this? Let's take a look at. Well, I actually can't see the poll, so we'll get that up in a minute. But what I will say is, I think there's probably 3 possible winners tonight. There's a lot of dark horses for really good positions. I think, if you look at the insurgents in the odds, Moldova, Bulgaria, still countries like Denmark, even as far down as Albania, as Gabe was saying, they could all do really well. It is a very mixed up, jumbled up year with a lot of countries coming in with their A game, a lot of countries improving on staging. I'd say one of the highest floors of technical production we've ever seen, even if maybe the songs aren't quite at that level. But I think there's probably three favourites that to me stand out as being the legitimate contenders. I guess we've got a red corner, kind of a blue corner, a bluer corner, and a gold corner, I guess, for Delta staging. Australia would be the ones I look at as being the jury. I mean, Delta is a superstar. Simple as that. The way she's been vocalising all week. It's too easy for her. What? Continue? Oh, this feels like an audition now. Finland, I think, are the ones you're looking at on both bases. You're looking at them as a potential jury candidate. We await to see what impact jurors knowing about the violin has, as well as obviously on the televote side. We all know it's the favourite. We all look at it in the odds. There may be tactical voting, you never know. And then, of course, Israel will be there. We await to see to what extent their televote is high, whether their televote is inflated. We will be looking very closely at that. That number will be very defining in terms of how the race looks tonight. And I think realistically, that's where you're looking. So Australia on the jury, Israel on the televote, Finland kind of going down the middle on both. Was that good enough?
Thank you very much.
Lovely.
That was very good. Round of applause. Everyone, there we go. I've been joined by John Waddle. Hi, John. How you doing today? You good, buddy? You're looking a little deflated. Oh dear. He's, oh no, I've just patted him on the head and his head stayed patted. Right, there we go, right. John Waddle is back. All is well. Do not worry. So, I'm back. I washed my hands, don't worry. That's the first on-stream piss goodbye of the year. We did that a few times last year because it was just me. I spent the entire week. It's crazy, honestly, how much more difficult this was last year because I was sat by myself in an Airbnb the entire week. All I did was get up, stream all day, and go to bed. So I have to say, doing this with all these other people with me and around me helping me out makes it so much easier. So I'm very, very grateful. Right, so I have just... That would be why that's happening. I've just realised this PC over here is on the wrong network, so I'm going to have to fix that. Because I was wondering why I was getting a few lag spikes. I was telling everyone, get off the Wi-Fi! I'm still on the Wi-Fi. So it's my fault. Sorry, guys. Right, so... Time for more fiddling. Why did it go beep? I didn't ask it to do that. Anyway. I kind of agree with James's assessment from what I heard of it, by the way. Which is that, there is, unfortunately, that it does seem to be that way where you might end up with Israel, quote unquote, winning, having the most points from the televote. I think winning is something different. And Finland through the middle. So I'm going to connect to that Wi-Fi network. There we go. Congratulations to the user who just earned their second time out of the stream, by the way. That's impressive. It's Marcus says, and thank you for the super chat, Australia can't host the next contest, right? Probably... I feel like the answer is no, but I also feel like if they win, I wonder whether the Aussies will really, really want to do it, and they'll at least make a proposal. I think in all cases, regardless of what the agreement is, they will make a proposal to have the show in Australia. Whether that proposal is accepted is a different matter. I think having shows at 5 a.m. seems like a pretty much impossibility to me. I can't see a world in which they allow that to happen. And for that reason, I do think it's impossible and impractical. But there we go. Mommy Penguin says, I was wondering, since votes cost money, maybe EBU doesn't want to fix Israel because they get paid either way. Is free voting a solution? I don't think the profit motive... This is an organisation with 100 million euros in cash reserves. This is not going to make a big difference to their cash flow. I need to sip my tea. There we go. Saved from the brink of flaming out there. Ingvild says, watching from Sweden, went shopping before 17. Norway hoping and praying for a Finland win. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I hope so too. By the way, I'm going to close the poll now. Thank you. I hear Loco Boombox. I will check that message in a moment. 59% of you think Finland is going to win. Australia 19. Greece only 4%. Someone else 18. So, for now, you don't think Greece is happening. And to be honest, you all really think Finland is happening. The fact that 70% of you are either on the Finland or Australia train says a lot. Lilac Sporty Dog says, could the voting solution be that people can't use all their votes in one country? Here's the thing. I think what we're seeing from these coordinated campaigns today, is that, there's not really any way around it. I don't think there's any sort of plaster you can put on the voting system where there is such a high level and, relatively speaking, very well-resourced campaign to manipulate the vote. You know, you have advocacy groups with thousands of committed and very political members working on getting this vote out. And that works much in the same way it works at election time, you know, in the same way political parties do. It's a get out the vote operation that cannot be matched. And the only way you can cut it off is by cutting it off at the source. That source is Israel's participation. So why does almost nobody believe in Greece? Well, you tell me. 4% of you people think Greece is winning. I still see some of the sort of betting experts and so on putting their money on Greece. So they haven't ruled it out yet. I think the thing is that I get the impression there was an interpretation that the staging was too busy, a little over the top. I think a lot of people felt it was too much. And as a result, we've ended up in this position. I need to sip my tea again, don't I? And I'm getting extremely gravelly. Lotus, yeah, gosh. Sorry, let me do that again. Only one more day. Come on. Lotus says, woo, grand final day. Do you think this is a strong year? How would you rank it with other years in the 2020s? I think it's an okay year. I think the song strength is about the same as 22. 22, the songs were fine, but it was also one of the weaker years of the 2020s. Thank you. Danielius says, ESC Tom just released his video on Israel. I'll check that out later after the stream. Ellen says, as an Aussie, it's crazy to think we have a chance of winning the whole thing. 10 years after Dummy's second place. Whatever happens tonight, Delta has done us so unbelievably proud. Bring on the 5 a.m. wake up. Ellen, I imagine you're going to bed shortly. Have a good sleep. Looking forward to seeing you when you wake up, and good luck tonight. I think we'd all be happy to see Australia win Eurovision. I think we'd be happy to see a country win that either has never won before or hasn't won in a long time. That's why I think Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Australia, and Finland would all be really popular winners. I don't think it's just an anti-Israel factor. I think people would genuinely be happy to see these countries winning. And it's really refreshing to see that, you know, until you get down to Denmark in 7th in the odds, again, excluding Israel, we have no countries that have hosted in 20 years. The last one time these countries hosted was Greece and Finland in the mid-2000s. They're countries that are due a win, and I really hope that one of them does do it. There we go. So, we will keep going. We have about 40 minutes until the odds. I'm also worried because last year on this stream, I was ambushed with a surprise guest, and I don't know, and everyone's been kind of looking at me funny the last day or two in a way that makes me wonder whether they might be up to something. If so, I mean, God knows what will happen. We will see if there is something, but I can't rule it out because this was when it happened last time, and I don't trust any of you. You hear me? Cynthia just went like, and James is giggling. We should have. Are we still on for 3 p.m. for the model? Do you reckon?
Yeah, we're still on.
Lovely. So
Lots of work, we're going to just about get there.
great. So in about 40 minutes' time, we will have the final projection from the model of what the results are going to be. I imagine there's going to be a lot of big changes because obviously things move so fast in the week. We have so much more information now. I don't think Jiva the Diva is coming. Nice idea. I really hope
You never know.
it's not Jiva the Diva, right?
I'm not saying it.
Honey, it's not. Is it? It's not Jiva the Diva. I think it would be quite awkward to have an Azeri entrant on after, you know, everything. So if it is Jiva the Diva, I think maybe that's a bad idea. Someone is saying Vanilla Ninja. That would be hilarious. But in any case, maybe let's just leave them, let them do their work, and we'll see what appears, right? We'll see what appears. I really have absolutely no idea. People are saying bus. Oh, it's bussy, and it's automatically translating again from Finnish. Bus! Yeah, honestly, that was such a funny moment. You should have seen the way that in the press centre, it was like watching a football match. At the end of it, everyone leaned forward as if she was going to say it. And when she said it, everyone was like, yes! It was hilarious. I wish someone had filmed that moment. I wish I'd filmed that moment. Some interesting opinions coming through. Dog water, yum. What a username. It says, Ferto was also just never that good, and I think it's clear the majority audience does not rate it as highly as the Eurovision community. I do think maybe the general audience haven't engaged with it in the same way. I think Greeks engaged with it in such an extraordinary way that we maybe expected it to translate over. But, we'll have to see. It really was a say the line Bart moment. It was exactly that. You all are sleeping on 12 points go to shawarma. I mean, I like shawarma, but does anyone else understand that reference? I'm seeing a lot of blank faces.
I enjoy shawarma as well, and I work for 12 Points for America. I don't see the connection unless...
I also agree 12 points go to shawarma, but you're going to need to explain the reference to me. How are we going back into the last night thing? I'm going to have to bring out the Mongolia flag again in a minute. Dear oh dear. Gabe is the Armenian spokesperson this year. Congrats, says Catherine. Yep, there you go. You got me. So we have plenty of time still to come. I can assume if there is a surprise guest, like I say, there might not be. I could just be kidding. I could just be second guessing myself, but they've been threatening it. If there is a surprise guest, it won't be anyone who's in the final because they'll be, doing the final. And right now they'll all be preparing for the start of the final dress rehearsal. Well, it's already started. In theory, at least. So I have absolutely no idea what is going to happen, but I am scared. People are saying, is it Natalia Barbu? I doubt it's Natalia. I don't think it's Natalia Barbu. There we go. Or Besser. Can you imagine that? I feel like there'd be a row if it was Besser. We could argue about her conspiracy theories about Anthony Fauci and the flesh-eating beagles. Don't ask if you don't know. We should dig into... I think maybe it's time to have a little bit of a talk about what our highlights of this year have been. Jay, yes, you can post your Instagram exactly once in chat. And I do want to shout out, why don't we have a little moment to talk about our non-qualifiers this year? I think it would be nice to reflect on them and say, and only be nice for the most part about them. We'll start with Semi 1 and then we'll go to Semi 2. I'm just setting it up now. In the meantime, Hezi says, my votes in the grand final today go to Australia. Belgium, because they need it, and the song kind of grew on me, and Finland, because violin. Also, not in favour of Israel being in the contest as a German. I completely agree with you, and I think there's a lot of other Germans who feel that way. James is running around. He's looking shifty.
Numbers are in.
The numbers are in. The model numbers
I'm recording
are
the
in.
voting sequence now.
So now he records the voting sequence, and then it comes onto stream with us. So, see you very soon. Let's have a look at these NQs. And thank you so much, Aura, who says, Kylie was my highlight. Yeah, real highlight. I really, really love that. Can we please mute that rat tickler person for 24 hours? Because at this point, it's just spam, and they've had 2 chances already. Congratulations, 3 timeouts in 1 live stream. That's impressive. So, let's go to Semi 1 first. We'll start with Estonia. I enjoyed this way more than I expected to. Way more than I expected to. It was fun. It was silly. It wasn't very good. But it was, it was entertaining. And, I thought it the kick was ridiculous. The fact they randomly cut to a shot of a staircase in the middle of the performance was hilarious. And you know what? I liked it a whole lot more than I did when it won Estilal. And I think everyone agreed with that. On the night, it was actually fun. And one of my highlights this week was being on here with Jay and, waving our hands from side to side and singing along with the chorus. So Estonia, at the very least, gave us that moment. Georgia, next. And this, to be honest, is one where it didn't come together. I get the impression that everyone is okay behind it and, things are all right. I haven't spoken to them, though. Yeah, I mean, it was really nice to have Bzika be in Eurovision. I think we can all agree the song didn't come together. At the same time, I still really appreciated this kind of opportunity to go down memory lane. I mean, I remember Junior Eurovision back then. I remember seeing this when I was about 13 years old, a few years later when I discovered Junior Eurovision, I think in 2011, and being like, what on earth is this? What on earth is this? Sadly, it is Bzova, but let's say a big bzank you to Bzika for everything that they have bzun for the bzon test. I'm being stared at. What's wrong, Bzinthia? Is there a bzroblem? It's the last day, honey. You've got to let me get away with a few. I love you. Anyway, Georgia, it didn't come together, but at the same time, I think it was one of the most entertaining things Georgia could have done would be to send these. Montenegro, next. I think probably came 11th in this semi-final. I thought this was a really fantastically staged performance, sort of extremely resourceful. The fact they did the entire thing with 80,000 euros is extremely impressive because that is tiny. That is pocket change by Eurovision standards. There are delegations who spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands. I think the fact that Montenegro have taken such a big step forward in 1 year, produced something that was so much more competitive than their return last year, I think shows that if they stay, a qualification is on the cards, and I really hope they do. I think especially if in the next year's contest, if we have Slovenia back, if we have Bosnia, for example, ended up in the contest, it would put them in a good position to counteract, I think, the anti sort of bias that the Balkans gets from the rest of Europe. Someone says, MSCH says she looked like a Disney villain. Yep, I know what you mean. It was really, really quite something. And I honestly thought she was going to do it. I really, really thought she was going to do it, and I'm gutted that she missed out. She was one of your heroes this week as well, and all through the season. I could tell how much you cared about the song, how much you loved it. And I really, really hope that they do not get discouraged and that they do not give up on this. Please, Montenegro, give it another chance. Portugal. This was a song that meant a lot to me because it's a song that it reminds, I know it's really mushy. It reminds me of my fiance. It reminds me of Cynthia. She just said, don't you mean Beyonce? Well, this song, Bzoza, by Bzandidos Bzobzante, Bzaz remind me of my Beyonce. And no, it's such a lovely, sweet song. And I have to say, hopefully you all agree, they really staged this well. They really, really staged this well. They pulled it together in a way that worked beautifully, in my opinion. They worked around the fact that their guys aren't that comfortable moving much on camera. They kept them pretty still and then moved them away from the shots. And I thought it was really nice. I loved the shot where it went between all of them. It was warm. It was so lovely. And I do wonder whether, along with Montenegro, they would have been very close indeed to qualifying. Sadly, it didn't happen for them this year. But again, Portugal goes its own way. They had a really great streak before this. They'll probably resume it again in the near future. This is the best Portugal has ever been at Eurovision in the last 7 or 8 years. They have gotten so much better. Let's not forget there was a time when they were perennial last place finishes in the semis. The streak is dead, but our love for them is not. Finally, San Marino, Superstar by Senate. I mean, I enjoyed Senate. The Boy George memes were really funny. I very much wish he hadn't been there. Thank God this didn't go to the final. I think it was a hilarious catastrophe that ended up being kind of entertaining on stage. Thank you so much, Dreamy Trash Bag. Loco Boombox, perfectly timed, says, I'm also a German who does not support Israel. For this reason, I'm feeling more and more alienated, scared of my country. Yesterday, I had a customer who openly supported the AfD, thus Alternative for Deutschland, the far-right party. Don't know how we'll ever fix this country. Lots of us are in the same role, but this is why things like this are so important. Protect these spaces, because these kinds of spaces help counterbalance those things, and we need to nurture them and grow them. So we will continue to do that all together. Let's go to semi-final 2. Where we have first Armenia. And I have to say, I really loved the line, Free coffee won't keep me here, man. I love that line. That is one of my favorite lyrics of the year, coming from someone who had a song entered into the national selection last year, which was so inscrutable that it got multiple lyric readings on my videos. Did it come together? I think we can agree that it was always going to struggle. I think when we saw the audience poll and saw that it hadn't made any inroads there, I think that was a big, big problem, and it has stayed that way. Did it come together? No. But I think, for Armenia, obviously Armenia isn't going anywhere. What they will do next year is the same thing they did this, where they tell us absolutely nothing until way after the deadline, then suddenly drop their song on a random Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. with no notice and no advertising in advance. I should also say he's a great dancer, and I would love to see, the choreographers that worked on this, I'd love to see them work on some more Eurovision entries, see what they're able to do. What is Cynthia up to? Okay. So next we have, I was wondering if she might be going to get a thing or something, but she's just going to dry her hair or something. Latvia. No, I've skipped Azerbaijan. How could I skip Jiva the Diva? Do I need to tell you what the positive thing is about this? Do I need to tell you? I think the whole thing this week has been, it has been very funny. Everyone knew this was dead on arrival. Everyone knew it was never getting anywhere. That gave way to, in my opinion, some of the funniest things that have happened this season. The way that, whoever the social media intern is, who got them to print Bussy t-shirts straight away and get Jiva to really lean into it, absolutely 10 out of 10. Great job. You did your work to perfection. Was it going to qualify? Never. But she sung quite well. I think it will have got a few points. It won't have get zeroed. And you know what? Fair enough. Fair play, Jiva the Diva. Latvia. There's so many positives about this. This is one of the ones that for me I'm saddest about. I would have loved to see Atvara in the final. One sec, I'm just going to... John Waddle needs to have a nap. I'm going to put him down there. There we go. I would love to have seen Latvia in the final. I think seemingly it maybe just didn't gel enough. A lot of ballads in the semi. Maybe hurt it a bit, but her vocal performance was great. Her message so important. Her stage show was lovely. Why is the Eurovision Song Contest in chat and saying Bussy?
Bussy.
Bussy indeed.
Bussy.
There we go. It's official now. That's an official press statement from the Eurovision Song Contest, breaking live and exclusive to us here on the ESC Gabe stream. Bussy. And Cynthia voices a sort of sound of vague disapproval in the distance. Gosh, these streams, they take twists and turns, don't they? So whoever is sat in that press centre causing mischief, hello, we're waving to you. And to everyone who's in that press centre watching right now. And can you confirm Eurovision Song Contest whether the drone that keeps flying past my window is in fact you guys spying on me? Because it's been out there all week. So, moving on. Obviously, Latvia, really beautiful. That's where we were. I don't think she'll have any regrets. She seemed totally at peace with this when we spoke to her a couple of days before her semi. She seemed really happy with her stage show, really proud of it. And that's the most important thing. Luxembourg next. And I will say, regardless of my opinions on the song, I'm so glad we had Eva Maria in this contest. She is such a energetic and positive and happy, carefree presence. She has a beautiful voice. I think genuinely you did feel that some of that kind of carefree wonderment in the performance. It was tough, for her in this semi. And I think the song being so weak meant that it didn't really matter what she did. And clearly the backing vocals rules affected her a little because you couldn't have the same sort of chorus of voices behind her. But I think she can be proud of what she did. I thought it was really nicely done. It was so sweet. I love that adorable clip of her and Daniel Zizka having a little dance in the green room. Made my heart melt. And again, one of the people that I think we're really glad to have here. Chu says, if voting is open throughout the final, the first performance will receive more votes, considering many people were watching for the first time. So in the past, it's made a minor but marginal difference. I remember they actually abolished this in the 2010s because the data showed it didn't make a difference. Whether that's still the case is another matter. But I still think later in the show is better, and I believe the stats bear that out too, James.
Pretty much, like on average. Actually, how we look at the running order is a bit like a sand dune. So it starts really low on sort of 1, 2, and 3. Comes up at the end of the first half. So if you remember, Lorraine was 9, JJ was 9, Carrie was 13. That's like a peak point. After 13, kind of dips again, not that much. Then bottoms out again, about 18, 19, about middling, and then it goes up again for the
Gotcha.
end. Songs in the 20s.
But that middle dip is much less than the early bit. It's more of a kind of mellows ever so slightly and then goes shoo.
But it's not quite a dip. Think of it as like a kind of. It's a line, but it just sort of has
A dimple. It's a dimple, a depression, something like that. So hopefully that answers your question. The final one in the semi-final was, of course, our Shayla, Switzerland. I think it was always going to be a long shot. And speaking to Swiss fans this week, they weren't really particularly... There wasn't much optimism about qualifying, but at the same time, they just won the contest. They've just hosted. They've had a really great few years. I think in some ways they were like, we're happy. We're doing something cool. We're doing something different. You know, it doesn't have to be a winning contender every year. And for that reason, I don't think there was any particular worry. I think the reason why it didn't qualify was that the staging came across a little muddled and the song was just a little too much of an acquired taste. This is something we suspected for a while, and I didn't predict it in all through the pre-party season for this reason. Oh, gosh, I hope you'll forgive a few yawns given the busyness of the week we've had. Or bussiness, rather. I just think, you know, if you're a fan of this song, you would have loved this performance. This was a big experiment about whether this kind of thing could work in Eurovision. The answer for now seems to be no, not sure, probably not. We'll see if that remains the case in future. I hope we still get stuff like this in the future to, you know, so that helps broaden the horizons of the contest. And I think that is the most important thing. You know, I saw a couple of people mentioning in chat, I'm going to full screen, a few people in chat mentioning Aya by Southern Lights from 2023 as an example of this, which also didn't qualify. Let me remind you of the words of the Latvian commentator. The first thing he said after the 10th qualifier was announced and Southern Lights weren't in, and remember, they were only out by a couple of points. The first thing he said was, we have nothing to regret. We have nothing to regret. We sent a quality performance that represents us and our music and our style. And I really think that Alice from Veronica Fazzaro is another song that fits into that. Veronica should be proud of this. The broadcaster should be proud of this. They put together a quality performance. Ultimately, that's the thing that matters first and foremost. Gosh, I'm going to have a big lunch, by the way, after this stream. I'm very hungry. Do we have any snacks? Could I possibly... I would very much enjoy a snack at the minute. I didn't have time... You guys are going to shout at me for this. I didn't have time to eat breakfast before coming on stream today.
For God's sake.
Oh, we have lentil chips. That'll work. Bring them over.
Right, I put them in a bowl so it's not as...
Thank you. So, sorry for not eating beforehand. It's now 2:38 in the afternoon, and I streamed 6 hours, went to bed, woke up, and then needed to, and then it didn't eat. That was maybe a mistake, especially since I've told off Jay this week for, I'd been like, Jay, you got to eat, you got to sleep. But yeah, so bone up the teeth. I'm going to mute because these are going to be really loud. Breakfast. Other people say mukbangaranga. Mukbangaranga, yeah. There we go. It took them all a minute, and then all at once they were like, "Yeah, we get it now." Very good, whoever said that.
I hate that. I love it.
We're going to take a quick look at those odds again, because I know there is still some movement there, and it's worth keeping an eye. Because now people are really getting the last things in. This will make you guys very happy. I'm going to show it on screen. There has been a movement. Are you ready for the movement? The movement is Bulgaria has overtaken Israel to take fourth in the odds. Bangaranga. So, Bangaranga indeed. The successful and woke Dara has gone ahead of Israel in the odds. I'm going to eat another crisp, and I'm going to mute this while I do it. Is it any coincidence that the second we start saying mukbangaranga, Bulgaria immediately goes up a place in the odds? I think not. That's just how it is. You know, and this is the thing. What I've always said with Bulgaria is, you know, this is someone, you know, she's living her life with a smile. Freedom is sense of her style. And for that reason, I think, you know, it absolutely makes perfect sense that she has gone up to fourth in the odds. What a story. Because this was really one that came from nowhere. You would have found it very difficult to find anybody before this week who would have predicted that Bulgaria would win the contest. She has entered into this group of songs that could genuinely do it. What does that say about how good this performance is? And gosh, if it does well in the jury, the sky really is the limit. And imagine how, because there was so much interest in the Bulgarian national selection this year. Everyone was talking about it. We spoke to Gotham, our resident Bulgarian, about this. And if they won, I imagine that it would be absolutely wild. What a massive launch pad for her as well. She has an international career waiting for her. She has done this herself with her performance, the choreo, her stage presence. It's amazing. When is the model? The model is in about 20 minutes, yes?
You would think we're hoping for 3, but at the minute it's taking a while to get things processed on the video front. So hopeful 3. If a little later, I'll let you know, but we're running it.
Okay.
We're close.
We're close. So what stage are we at now? Have you filmed the voting sequence?
Yeah, we're all filmed. It's just at the minute my Riverside is processing the video, and then it needs to go into Premiere, and then come out, and then go into YouTube, and then be sent to you.
Gotcha. Understood. That is just fine. If you want to skip the Premiere step, you can put it straight on YouTube. I'll just start it from whatever point you want, so the first bit is cut out, and then when it finishes, we pause it anyway. Perfect, fine, no problem. So, model, still coming, will be a little bit after 3. Do not go anywhere. There's almost 3,000 people excited to see this. Such is the way. In fact, there may well be 3,000 people. Gotham is not in Vienna this year. This is why he hasn't been on the streams. We did have a couple of remote appearances planned, including our friend Sam Anna van Dijk was meant to be on the stream last night, but because of our limitations on the internet connection front, we essentially had to, and it was really sad. It's one of the sad things about this week. We had to can all virtual appearances. It wasn't feasible because when you're having these many problems, the additional strain it would place on the connection would probably make it impossible. Catherine says, have you seen the rehearsals, the final 2 split screen, how it goes up? Yes, so the final 2 split screen, what you will see is the current leading score on one side with the person in question, and the score of the last remaining people to receive their televote on the other. So i.e. the jury winners. Their score will slowly tick up. And it ticks up really slowly. And to see if it surpasses the country on the other side. If Israel is on that split screen, I'm not going to enjoy that very much. Musical Muffin says, Gabe, check out the video of Little Daniel singing with Jay. Need to see your reaction. Love your content and support. Or do you mean like Daniel Zizka singing with RJ? Or do you mean JJ? It's the kind of final screen that, I mean, it's not a terrible thing if we weren't, faced with existential crises, but there we go. Someone says you should get a mobile hotspot. We've been using 2 different ones and they both broke on this very stream. So whoever said that thing before, was it RJ, Musical Muffin, or was it J as in JJ? Big love to you, by the way. Thank you so much for your support. If it's both J's, that would be really something. I'm fairly sure Jay has never met JJ. I'm so confused. I'm going to eat another crisp. Give me a sec. Hello, I'm back again. So, I'm open to your questions. We have time. Look at the top 5 odds for Greece, says Jakob Spencer's version. Well, it's not moved. It's still the same. That said, I haven't seen this before. There is a bookmaker that is offering shorter odds on Bulgaria than Greece. Let's see what happens. The top 5 odds. Okay, don't worry about this. This bookmaker here, Betfred, has set their odds wrong. That 12-1 is obviously ridiculous. It's don't worry. This is someone has set this wrong. It will go back again. Don't worry about it. This is a false alarm. It's on the Eurovision Czechia Instagram. Is it actually Jay? Let me find this. I'm going to find it now. Let's go. Hopefully the internet will hold up and not complain at me when I do this. So I need to find Eurovision Czechia. Let's do this. Right. Well, it's not loading. I mean, let me show you what I can see. There we go. Oh, is it this one here? Well, that is lovely. But obviously it is not RJ in this video, I would presume. Oh, look, there he is wearing new rehearsal. That's a lovely jumper. Well, that's a very nice video, and obviously we wish him the best of luck tonight. They fixed that problem with the odds, by the way. It's fixed already, apparently. Let me just refresh the page. Nope, it's still broken, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. So, there are still sort of small movements, but you've got to remember, with movements in the odds now, the chances aren't really changing at all because there's nothing new happening today, right? The rehearsal this afternoon doesn't matter in case someone, I don't know, gets an injury or something. And as a result, yeah, things will not change in terms of the odds. What we're waiting for is the model. Let's see where that sets us all off.
It is on its way.
It's on its way, so it's uploading now.
Well, yeah, we've got it processed. I'm currently going through the final steps, and then it will be uploading. It is close.
Hey, so this is literally, it's happening live, and this is how you know this thing really is done at the latest possible moment, so all the information can be taken into consideration. Everyone say thank you very much, John Model, in chat. Say thank you, John Model, for doing all of this work for us, so we can finish this day in a big way. We still have a few hours until the grand final and still a couple of hours still to go on the stream, maybe. We will have to see. I want to remind everyone, say thank you for being with us this week. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are most of the way to 59,000 subscribers. If we could get there, that would be great. So please do, if you haven't already. That would be really, really nice. In addition, you can find links in the description to my social media, which if you want to follow me on there, if you want to support the channel financially, there's plenty of ways to do that. It's also on the description. So yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on a couple of things. Sorry. Important updates to Cynthia.
I send to you.
You'll send it to me. It's pictures of cheese, which I will show on stream in a moment. Is that a video of cheese?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a sleepy boy.
It's time for an update on my cat in 1 second. I'm just checking in some stuff here. There we go. Right, let me get these pictures and I'm going to show you Cheese. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Cheese is my cat. It's not a silly name. Will you do a post-show stream if Israel wins? Yes, you're Rapunzel, I will. And it's going to be a very punchy stream. I think we will essentially eulogize the contest. So I'm just preparing the videos of the video and picture of Cheese. He's staying with his auntie. In fact, the auntie that he's staying with at the moment, or rather she's staying with, she's at our house rather than the other way around, is the same auntie that designed the merch. Andred says, Bangaranga believer from day one. We got this. Let's go. All right. Who would like to see a video of Cheese? Here we go. Look at him. Oh, he's so sleepy. I love this boy. I miss him so, so much. It's the one thing I really can't wait to go home to see Cheese. And then we've got a picture of him here, gazing into the sun. What a beautiful boy, huh? So let's keep going. This is a good chance to ask some questions. We have sort of 10, 15 minutes, I'd guess, to do so while we're waiting for the model to be prepared. And it's going to be your last chance to ask me questions before the final. So please do now. Is your cat melting? As all cats do. Do you like Mars bars? Yes, my cat just joined me when you talked about missing your cat. Well, there you go, Key John. It shows that they all know, they're all listening to each other. Just keeping an eye on the super chats as well. Any last minute hot take predictions? Gosh, I mean, the thing is, it's difficult to have a hot take for me at this stage because I've told you all of my hot takes. I'll give you one. Moldova, Romania, and Bulgaria moderately outperform expectations with the jury, but don't do enough to win. That's what I'm going to say. I think all of them will do better than expected. The changes in the jury will prove to be favourable, but that's all, right? That is all we are getting on that side. I also would love to see Serbia get some televote points, get them get some love. I think it's really, really an amazing song, and it's the kind of thing I want to see more of in Eurovision. There's not been an opportunity for it enough in the past, and I hope that there will be in future. So, there are some hot takes in chats. People saying that Czechia could win the jury, for example. There are people saying Lithuania. Okay, Lithuania, dark horse to win the whole thing. Very funny. I guess I should. For those of you who don't know, last year, while drunk in the middle of the night after Estilal, I tweeted that Lithuania would be a dark horse to win Eurovision in 2025. That was obviously nonsense, but there we go.
But it was funny.
It was funny, but it was ultimately nonsense. Chintara, thank you so much for the 35 ZAR. I don't know what currency that is. Just a small bit of appreciation for how well you pronounce my username. Not everyone, not even my friends can manage it. Well, hopefully I did it right that time as well. Is it Zintara or Jintara? It'll definitely be one of those, so I've got to triple check it with you. Walter Mann says, Bhutan, dark horse to win the whole thing. I would love to go to that national selection. The EBU did say in the Eurovision Asia briefing the other day that I believe Bhutan will be the first Eurovision Asia national final. And I think, given what happened before, that is so, so sweet. Honestly, I will protect Bhutan with my life. The Mystic Jar of Sauerkraut says, Poland in top 10, I will never stop believing. Pray. Interesting. Heard a couple of people say that on this stream in the last 10, 15 minutes. Oh gosh, I'm going to need a big, actually, what would be amazing if I could request, Annie, I believe we have some orange juice in the fridge. I really need the sugar.
Okay.
Piece of advice, never go on stream without eating breakfast because I need that cereal, as it turns out. What, tomatoes?
That's a raspberry.
A raspberry, that's fine. Yes, that, and the orange juice, please. Thank you so much. We're clearing out the fridge today. Miller says, do the juries generally favour singing technique over innovative song staging? How likely does a boring, technically perfect song win the juries? It has to have some sauce, right? Ultimately, you don't win without having some sauce. Does France have the sauce? I'm not sure it does. Think about Switzerland. It was innovative, it was different, but it was technically excellent. Same with JJ last year. They tend to reward both, right? You need to have both. So you want to look to the things where they have both. Could you say that Finland is technically excellent and innovative? Yes. Could you say that Australia is technically excellent? Yes. Is it innovative? No. But Delta's stage presence makes up for that a lot. Octina says, thank you so much for the super chat. What happens if Australia first, Israel second? Then I all think we will very much hope it is hosted in Australia. That said, it wouldn't go to Israel. If Israel came second and Australia came first, it would not go to Israel. Interesting. Hercule, we've been talking about Bulgaria being up. He thinks Bulgaria is down. Shot 11th, maybe. That's quite something. A couple more super chats coming in. Dr. Ross says, thank you for all your ESC content. Thank you so much for being here. Max ESC says, will you be covering Eurovision Asia? Yes. Wouldn't it be fun to do these live streams from Bangkok? Thank you so much, honey. There you go. A glass of orange juice.
Exporting.
And the model is approaching, imminent. Excellent.
Just after 3. That's what we're looking at. Maybe 10 past.
Okay. So model, this is your 15-minute warning for the model. What national finals would you like to visit? Says Samantha Kiatite. What national finals would you like to visit? Lithuania, maybe? If you're offering, I'd love to come and join you in Lithuania for the Lithuanian national final. Oh, God, I need these raspberries. 1 second. Just throw a whole bunch in there. Gosh. Give me some sugar, indeed. Lithuania would be really fun. I want to go back to Moldova. Vidbia in Ukraine. Adal, if it's the Hungarian selection next year. But yes. So hopefully one of those. Like I said, I just really, really, really want to get over to Bangkok for Eurovision Asia as well. And if we got to a national final as well, that would be great. But that's expensive. Very expensive. And it might not be possible to go twice. So, thank you, Levi, for the 333 tip. He says, maybe a hot take. Sweden may not make it to the left side of the board this year. That's interesting. I'm going to hold a quick poll in this room. Put your hand up if you think that's a realistic possibility. That Sweden doesn't make it to the left-hand side of the scoreboard. I'm seeing 2.5 hands. Cynthia looks unimpressed. So Cynthia is more confident. But myself, James/John, and Sam from 12 Points from America. Sam is sort of maybe. James and I were very emphatic. So there's your answer. Dragon YT says, Czechia are winning this year or Romania. Well, thank you very much for your super chat. I appreciate that very, very much. Chaotic We Are Raven says there's mobilizing going on right now in Norway regarding the televote. I think that's happening in a lot of places, and as we saw earlier. So, why do you think Romania is decreasing in the odds? I mean, you say that, but if we look at these odds, I mean, I'll happily put them on screen again now. To be honest, the movements are not massive, right? You're looking at a couple of points. You know, it's really what you're seeing is background noise of these songs sort of drifting back and forth within a certain frame of reference, right? So I wouldn't read anything into it particularly. They'll move again during the show tonight, probably. Until then, don't think about it. Heathen then says, would you rather have Turkey or Slovakia back in Eurovision? And as Neurocantata says, if Sweden not top 10, performer exiled to Denmark. Thank you, both of you, for your support. Heathen, your question, Turkey or Slovakia? Well, I mean, obviously the cop-out answer is both, but I think Turkey brought something to the contest that we really, really miss. I think we'd love to see Turkey back in. I wonder whether Israel leaving could present an opportunity for that to occur. At the same time, it's not a priority of the current government. The opposition in Turkey have talked about this. ESABT Strava, that those odds are a mistake, that someone has input them wrong. Imagine Poland higher than Sweden in the jury. That would be utterly surreal. I don't think that's unrealistic. I think you could see a situation where Sweden does fall behind Poland in the jury. I mean, if we look on the jury side, you've got Sweden 11th and Poland 19th. It's not, a slight underperformance from one and a slight overperformance from the other, and they could easily switch places. Oh my God, Gabe, look, Jiva is top of the odds. Refresh the page. I'm sure she is. Right. The model is still coming. What we're going to do is I'm going to take a very quick 1 minute break to get up and prepare myself for that. And then we're going to go into that. And stay tuned because there'll be something afterwards as well, as far as I can tell. So I'll be right back in 1 second. Do you all pinky promise me you won't go anywhere, okay? I will see you all literally in like 30 seconds. I've been replaced while I was away. So I've been replaced. This is now John Waddle's stream. On you go. So, continuing. Let's move on. John Waddle, of course, does not have a model. Do you reckon he has the waddle? It's like the penguin. Yeah, something. I don't know where I'm going with this joke. So we will be imminently. Why are you all shouting "bussy" in the chat? Let's see. Why is there's a lot of bussy right now. All I see is bussy. Right. So, Booker Christian says, thoughts on Martin Green interview about Russia. We did talk about this right at the start of the stream. But in short, I think it shows that the comm strategy is not working at all. I don't know why. It shows the total contradiction that the contest is in, and that there really is no defense for keeping Israel in. The thing is that because they've been voted, the EBU is in a position where they have to try and invent a defense, even if it sort of runs contrary to logic, because they're in. So I think what it means, it leads you into these ridiculous situations where you find yourself saying the most bizarre things. These raspberries, by the way, are amazing.
They're organic.
Mm-hmm. I will say the supermarkets in Austria, I've been really quite impressed. They have really good fresh fruit and veg stuff. How should they have celebrated the 70th anniversary contest as the Weird Girl VIP? And Crazen Gamer says, do you see a chance of Morocco coming back if when Israel is out? And Bookboo says, are you coming to UMK? I would love to come to UMK next year. Would love to see you again. It was great to meet you this year. Morocco coming back? I think almost certainly not. As for how they should have celebrated, how would I have celebrated the 70th anniversary in an ideal world? And there's a few different things I would have done. I would have, had a lot of interval acts. I would have done, what would have been really fun? An interval acts all through the week themed around different decades of the contest. And so you have you start and you bring back Eurovision artists, of the modern era, to sing stuff from eras past because obviously most of the singers who sung in the 1950s, for example, are no longer with us. You'd have a 1950s interval to start, then you go through 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all through the week. But what you do is you deliberately hold back a few big ones. And this is something that would never happen. And then you have an all-time, a Hall of Fame, iconic interval in the final. And what you do is you have, and I'm telling you, this would never happen. They would never get these artists. ABBA, Celine Dion, Måneskin, Loreen, all of the big, Johnny Logan, all of the iconic winners over the years. And they come back and they sing their songs again. And, you combine that with, sort of reflections on what the contest has been about all over time. And it would just be so beautiful to sort of, go on this journey through time with the contest.
It would have also been great to have homage paid to how this contest was in the 60s, for example, do some black and white acts, do some fun scoring board-esque things, have the physical board. It doesn't have to be the actual scoreboard, but just an interval act.
I would love the qualification announcements. I would love to see the qualification announcements sort of done in a 60s or 70s Eurovision style with the physical board and stuff. Because there's a way you can do it without it being tacky, right? And it would have made it really, really fun. Do you want to check? Are we okay for 10 past, James?
We're getting close. Maybe quarter past at worst.
Okay.
We'll do so very soon. It's uploading for you now.
Lovely. You just let me know. Just give me a thumbs up,
Yeah.
and then send it to me.
You'll know.
Lovely.
I'm currently writing up all of the announcements as well.
Oh gosh,
It's.
it's all happening. It's all happening over here.
I'll even cut over now.
You come sit here and just put it over there, and I'll make space for you. James, in an ideal anniversary, what would you have wanted to see this year?
Well, I mean, you could have said all manner of things about this, because there's 101 different things you can do. I mean, you have 72 previous winners of Eurovision. I actually asked the head of show this at a press conference whether they'd gotten any more of the 72 previous winners on, and the response was, well, a lot of them are dead, but Udo Jürgens is dead. Yes, as I learned here, as I relearned here. Well, you know, obviously ABBA, Celine Dion would have probably been a stretch, but surely you could have gotten more. And I think that if we were unable to create really great interval acts for a 70th anniversary, I think that's a reflection of where Eurovision is in many people's consciousnesses at the moment.
I agree. And this the thing is, you know, we have some past years and stuff, but like, and I don't mean to disrespect Gojo, for example. There's no way that was the first choice. There's absolutely no way that was the first choice. And I think that's a shame, you know? It is a shame. How goes the upload, James?
Close.
He's like hiding the screen from me.
I
It's
am,
really
because I
funny.
don't want you to see. Also, I am aware, and I'm not going to try and say this too much, but this really is where it lives and dies, right? Like, this is the call.
Yeah. And if you get it right, then great. If you get it very wrong, then, you know. But there is, of course,
you know.
there's variance, right? Different things happen on different occasions, and we will obviously see. Ellen says, can we do the model so us Aussies can sleep, please? Soon. It's coming very, very soon. in
I'm
just
so
a few
close.
minutes. He's doing his best. He's going as fast as he can. So do not worry.
You have to remember as well, because Gabe's stream requires so much wireless, I'm currently hotspotting, which is making things go more slowly.
Yeah.
So that's
We
just a
are
technical
operating in our
situation.
sort of, you know, held together by sellotape streaming environment here. So, you have not missed the model. For those of you just joining, it's coming shortly. Do you think Kazakhstan or Canada will debut? We talked about this last night. Canada, definitely yes. I think Canada is going to happen if the contest survives this year. Because they've had all those talks going on. You know, it happened midway through the cycle this year. So logic would tell you then it would happen next year, right? Let's see. James, what's your take?
On Canada?
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Carney seems to want it. He's the Prime Minister in Canada. Mark Carney was former Governor of the Bank of England, so he spent a lot of time here, spent a lot of time working in Europe. He clearly views, I mean, this is a very political thing to be saying, but he clearly views Europe as an opportunity to integrate. At the moment, there are obviously, let's call them arguments between Canada and the US.
Yeah, that's one way of
around
putting it.
economics and things like that. So it might be a good soft power thing in terms of saying we are aligning ourselves with European countries. Eurovision, obviously, you know, whatever people say, it is an opportunity for people to have soft power. There has always been a political element to Eurovision. It was before this current era, and it will be when we move on to the next era, whenever that comes.
Hopefully soon.
I thought you might say that.
I mean, this is the thing, and I think this is the general reflection I've had from the media this week, how everyone's been feeling. You'll feel this. I certainly feel this. I think everyone feels this. We're so sick of it. We're so sick and tired of it being, like, it's exhausting to have to do this for the third time. And I'm really disappointed that we've had to, you know, battle our way through in the way we've had to battle our way through. And I just really hope that between this year and next year, we get something different. Jay, you didn't miss the model. I almost said James. I'm like, James.
I know, I'm right here. It is on its way. Basically, everything is ready. All we are waiting on is for an upload.
How many minutes on the upload does
I've
it
got
say?
5 minutes.
It says 5 minutes.
But it was 5 minutes 2 minutes ago.
That's not great.
So it's going. It is going. But we'll just have to talk amongst ourselves while it does.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for bearing with us. It is grand final day. By this point in the run, we're pretty overwhelmed.
It is. We're getting there as quickly as we can. Constructor Stan says imminent bussy. Yes, indeed. Gabe, do you see Spain returning next year? If Israel's here, no. If Israel's not here, maybe. But a lot of damage has been done in that relationship that needs to be repaired. Do you think the grueling rehearsal schedule is a detriment to artists' vocals and health? I don't think you can reduce the rehearsal schedule. You need to, if you want the show to be slick, you need to. Everyone has only 2 rehearsals, and they have days off between those rehearsals. delegations often maintain their own rehearsal schedules outside of those official rehearsals. So I'd say if it's on delegations to take care with this, right? What do you think?
There was one suggestion, actually. We've been doing a daily show for ESCInsight this week, obviously bringing people what's going on in Vienna. And we did a reaction to semi-final 1, and we had GJ on the show. And GJ suggested during that show, why don't we consider moving the semi-finals to Monday and Wednesday? Because
give everyone a day off
you
on
would
Thursday.
have a day of rest on Thursday. That would also equalise the thing that we've got at the minute, where if you perform in the first semi-final, you do obviously the Tuesday night, and then you don't have to go on stage until Friday. But if you're in the second semi-final, you're straight back out on stage.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Look at Jonas, for example, who is having he was having to damage an already, hurting voice when he could have had a day to recover.
2 full live runs for 4 days every day, 8 runs. If you're in the second semi-final, there is actually a real competitive disadvantage in some ways vocally. So that's maybe something that could be looked at one day, maybe. But I know that they're so locked into that TV schedule, it's hard to see that change.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer Monday and Wednesday. But then obviously, it gets complicated. Then you have to do the jury show on a Sunday night. It's a big ask. Is it moving along?
It's moving along, but it is slow, I will have to say.
How many % is done?
78.
Okay, does it still say 5 minutes left?
It still does.
It'll
This
get
is
there.
what happens when you're uploading a 1.5 gigabyte YouTube video off of a 5G phone.
Yeah, that will happen. I've done this a few times this week. But there we go. I don't think BMW is going to sponsor Eurovision.
That'd be something.
It would be something, but it's also not going to happen.
Hey, but like the influencer things would be great, wouldn't they? Get a car.
I mean, I'd love a car.
Yeah.
A free car. That said, it'd be a BMW, so everyone would think I was a wanker.
That's true, to be fair. That's like the price you pay. But it'd be very Oprah if they did that.
You get a BMW, you get a BMW. Everybody gets a BMW. And people are all suggesting that our beloved furniture store brand, XXX Lutz, as a permanent sponsor. I mean, they only exist in Austria, so I'm not sure. Do they exist in Germany maybe as well?
They'd have to go international.
Yes. Oh, great. XXX Lutz International. Sounds great. For those of you who are just joining us, can see there was a little tick up. We are very shortly going to be revealing the grand final model, which is now, how many percentage is uploaded?
81.
So it's getting there.
This is genuinely, from my perspective, this is the point where I am quite tense, because you make so many updates through the season, and today is the day where it just survives contact with reality. We still haven't seen reality. In 2024, this had some things that were wrong, but broadly, it predicted Switzerland as the winner when it had 8% odds. In 2025, it was almost totally wrong through a range of factors that I've since fixed.
Such as underestimation of the Israeli televote was a big one of those.
Yeah. I sort of, and I will say this in a very loaded way, naively thought that the Israeli televote might just be a one-time deal. We have since learned that's not the case. So that was definitely something that went wrong. We had Sweden to win that day. That obviously did not transpire. Today, we will have a new winner to predict, and in a few hours, we'll find out how accurate this is. It did get 19 out of 20 semi-final qualifiers. That is the best run it has ever had.
That is very good, and getting 10 out of 10 on a semi for the first time.
Yes, although I will say that the betting odds also had 10 out of 10, so it wasn't as prescient an achievement. It was a pretty predictable semi-final.
It was, yeah. I mean, the thing that threw the spanner in was Cyprus. Cyprus flopping the jury show then made things interesting, but I think the song is good enough that it got through. And like we said, she improved a lot last night.
Yeah, I agree with that. 86%, everyone.
So we're getting there. It really is, all we can do is move as fast as we can. And doing this today is such a big undertaking that has to be done in such a short amount of time.
Should I give them an insight into what that day looks like?
Yeah.
Sure. So I awoke at 8 o'clock Vienna time this morning and began running the numbers. I have not really stopped since. So we're looking at about 7 hours of checking things, rechecking things, going through and adding the scores from last night's audience poll, the new odds, new rankings on different apps and things like that. I'm going through and adding all of that manually. Then you're double checking, cross checking, triple checking, making sure the way that we treat Israel and Ukraine feels accurate and is looking right according to the systems I have in place for that. There are so many different things that have gone into the numbers you're about to see. And obviously the hilarious thing is I know that a lot of people will see it. A lot of people will say it's absolutely useless. They could very well be useless. and
this is
my
why
reward for it will be getting clowned.
I always call it the Euro fandom's best piece of rage bait. No matter what you do, everyone will be angry at it.
Yeah.
How many percentage points are we at?
90.
90! Come on, we are getting there. Everybody, send your good wishes and your internet connections.
Can we all in the chat send good internet connection vibes
Yes,
to me on my hotspot, please?
I'm very excited. Of course, they're going to have to wait a minute while it processes after it uploads.
Oh yeah, there will be processing.
I mean, but
as
then
well.
you'll need to send me it anyway. That won't take very long because
yeah, we can do.
Mm-hmm. You got this, John Model, says Dander. We do have time for one or two more questions. So if there's anything you want to know, anything we want to talk about while we have the chance to do it, because the model will be the thing that closes this stream. Now is the time to do it. This is your last chance.
Sunday was asked to put John Waddle and John Model together.
John Waddle and John Model together. We can do that. There you go.
This is my stress penguin now.
Yeah. He's sort of slightly deflated from yesterday.
Yeah, I can feel it. I feel like we're very similar in an expression sense.
Mm-hmm. What was the one country the model got wrong in the semis?
It was Belgium.
And the funny thing is you had Belgium the entire season. Okay, let's put him away again now.
Yeah, let's thank you, John Waddle.
Thank you, James, and the Gabonese flag. Thanks, Nicholas Jackson. I appreciate the super chat. Sierra Leonean. Sorry, Sierra Leonean flag.
Wow.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, where were we?
You
had Belgium in. There you go. You had
Yeah.
Belgium in the entire season, and everyone
did.
clowned you on it. Then it went out 1 week before, and then it qualifies.
So we had Belgium. I think there was a week where we had Georgia, I think towards the start. And then it was Belgium in 10th, pretty reliably. And then it was only on the day of the semi-final that I took it out for Montenegro, which was the exact wrong call. Other than that, Belgium was in most of the way. And Belgium was still 11th in the model. So it was as close to a 20 out of 20 as it is possible to be without being perfect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was very, very, very close. And it was obviously a shame that we didn't get Montenegro. I think we would have really loved that.
Yeah, I think it just came down to performances of the night. I think Asila vocally was better live than Tamara.
Yeah. What percentage we keep?
97.
97. Okay, we're nearly there. 97%. They're saying model, please. We demand the model. You will get the model very shortly. We really are doing this as quickly as we possibly can.
This is hell.
We're not just sitting here to sort of just hold you guys on the edges for as long as possible. We want to show you this, and we will do it as soon as possible. But not just yet. We are not ready yet. We have to get it uploaded so that it can appear on screen. We can't do it otherwise. Where do you see the UK finishing?
Well, you can't ask me that because I know what it says. Where do you see the UK finish? Last?
We're going to come last.
Okay. Look, I have my reservations about the staging. I'll say that this is probably my final James Stephenson comment. Yeah, I have reservations about the staging. I like some of the ideas, but I just don't think it conceptually gives anyone a reason. I think that's a big worry with it, and also vocally it's not a particularly strong song. It's not really going into technical quality. It's very reliant on televote. Right now I don't know where the hook is, and that's a worry.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you. I think it could be in trouble, but we will live in hope.
Upload complete, processing beginning.
Okay, can you send me the link? Because then as soon as it starts working, we'll show it.
Yeah.
So we're going to get the link for the thing over to me. And we will then move on. Right, so once the link is provided to me, I will start preparing it on screen.
I'm just making sure that the link I've got is the correct one.
Looks good to me.
Yeah.
And it's working. Okay, model time. So,
I think it's time.
first, okay, there you go. You just sent it to me. I will prepare it here. James, could you kindly say the line? Oh, you set the video as private. You need to set it as unlisted.
Oh, did I set it as private?
Yes.
I definitely set this as unlisted, by the way.
Okay.
Give me a sec. I am on it. Yeah, it's set as unlisted.
Save. You need to click save first.
Ah!
And then publish anyway. There you go. Right.
There we go. Yeah,
Ka-chow.
good.
Right, we got it.
Okay, we're
Okay.
good.
Could you please say the line?
It's time for the model.
All right, everyone. You know how this
Wow.
works. Let's get right into it. Here it is.
Let's
on
just
screen.
go straight away. So, the fastest explainer while I get the jacket on. If you have not seen one of these before, we're going to do a full voting simulation of tonight's grand final. Gabe and everybody else in this room and in all of your rooms around the world has not seen these numbers. The only person who knows what is coming is me. So this is totally as live can get. We're going to go through the juries one by one. I know we have a jury order. I've done it alphabetically because I'll be totally honest, I could not be asked, and it was quicker. So we're going to do alphabetical, and then we'll have the televote, obviously, country by country, until we get to the end, and we have the official prediction.
All right. With that in mind, let's get going. We're starting with the jury results, and we're starting with Albania. It moves in alphabetical order, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. It'll be alphabetical order this time, and in a minute, you will see everything begin to work.
I'm scared.
Go.
There we go. So we're on our way. Here's the first points coming through now. Italy with a nice 10 right to start. Straight away, big nice haul for Bulgaria as well. And Greece gets the first 12 from Albania. I believe this is something that's been predicted basically all along.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, look, Albania, Greece, next door neighbours.
It's Armenia now, and that's a nice score for Moldova. Let's see what comes, and it's France that gets its first 12 too. I feel like we're going to see a lot of splitting. That's been what this has been forecasting a long time. Overall, obviously, you can't tell me anything yet, but there are, we're expecting it to be close, right?
Yes.
And we're expecting to have quite low scores in total, which is why we only have 20 points as the highest when 3 countries have voted. Moldova doing very nicely at the moment, but it's Austria next. And the 12 will go to Croatia. Interesting.
So Croatia top after 4 juries.
Which is honestly more than I don't think it's going to stay there. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not surprised to see Azerbaijan giving some points to Israel. We should remember that Israel received 24 points from Azerbaijan last year, the maximum. Cynthia I've just realised, has left me a multivitamin.
You might need it for this.
Yep. So Finland's starting to make some headway. You still have this really tight group. Moldova is doing insanely well at the moment. And Czechia is at the very top. Woo! So Czechia all the way up at the top of 32. You've got Moldova in the top 4. Well, okay, well, now I said that.
It all moves quickly. I mean, just look at the points margins right now.
Everybody, stay fucking calm. Fucking stay calm.
Should we have a moment to appreciate that after how many countries is this? After 7 countries, Moldova is joint top of the juries.
Wow. I mean, let's see if it maintains. Stay calm. I think things will dramatically splay outwards as time goes on, but we will see. 12 for Serbia from Croatia. I can fully see that. John Model. Can you tell me, who do you think?
John Model.
12 points from Cyprus. Who do you think they're going to go to?
Look, I've always had a feeling about the UK. Oh, come
There
on.
we go. So Moldova's still clinging on at the top. It's Czechia next. And there goes France to the top. And let's see where the 12 goes to. Croatia, doing very well at the moment. Has always been projected in the model to do pretty well with the jury, right?
Always looked like a good jury song even before we got to Vienna. That's before we saw the staging, of course, which is great.
100%. So, it continues now, and it's a 12 for Finland, the first one. That came from Denmark, right? Was
Yep,
Denmark?
that did come from Denmark.
And Estonia is next, so I suspect we are going to see another one straight away. I think Estonia is Finland's best friend, probably, in this contest, and we're about to see that playing out here. There we are. So, Finland has entered the chat from very far away to very close in just a couple of juries, and it shows that if it does stay this close, just how intense this voting sequence could be. At the moment, though, I would say the way it's looking right now is the songs that are televote magnets are in a good position. They're in a good position because they're not shipping too much ground to the top songs. France now gives 12 to Czechia, still right up at the top. It's doing better than it was before, if I'm not mistaken.
At the minute, it's doing very, very well in the juries.
Georgia now will take Czechia back to the top. And we await their 12. I guess, Denmark, interesting. Not sure if I can see that, but we'll see. For Denmark fans, this is a little reassuring. Despite the running order, he's still proving to be very competitive. Germany next. And they will give their 12 points to Australia. Yeah, I can very much see that's the kind of thing that would go down well with German voters. Romania is doing really badly at the moment. Although as soon as I say that, it gets 8 points.
See, I'm actually finding this intense, and I've actually seen everything.
Yeah, I'm getting nervous seeing this, actually.
I think it's just because we're realising...
Moldova got a 12! Woo! Go Germany. Not Germany, it was Greece.
It was Greece, because we're realising that we are going to go through this for real in how many hours? Seven-ish?
Not many. 12 points from Israel to Ukraine is interesting. I think I don't know. I mean, we've seen in the past couple of years, for example, they gave Tali 12 points because she was Israeli. I do wonder whether they may pick out sort of the contestants who are favoured, sort of their favourites in terms of who has been supportive of them publicly and get hype, and they'll get the high points. Moldova is still hanging in there.
It's doing well.
This is an extraordinary performance so far for Moldova. And 12 points from Latvia go to, not Lithuania, that's something. Ukraine, I can very much see that. Again, it's still so tight. From 8th to 1st, 45 points, and we're most of the way through the juries. These multivitamin things really help, by the way. They're kind of gross, but...
But they do the job.
Yeah, it really does do
Sometimes you need to push. Another Ukraine 12 from Lithuania.
Yep. As expected. And still, the spread stays narrow. It's Luxembourg now. And I have to say, Finland is still kind of struggling in the mid-range a bit. It's not really getting anywhere. It's not massively losing out on that factor, but, 74 after 23 juries is, well, I mean, it's not great, is it?
It's not stunning. It's not how you would have expected a massive winner contender to perform.
For sure. Moldova gives 12 to Romania. Best friends forever. Unsurprising there. Oh, no, that wasn't... It's Moldova now.
Yeah, it's Moldova now. That was Malta before.
Okay, and they're also going to give 12 points to Romania.
Yeah, there you go. That makes more sense, doesn't it?
Montenegro up next. I imagine Serbia, Croatia are going to do very well here. Croatia only 2. I feel like that's one where maybe there's a little wrinkle. 2 and 7 for Croatia and Montenegro.
There's a tiny wrinkle on that one, yeah. But there is a 12, actually, for Albania.
Interesting. I'd love to see that. Norway, I expect, will do really, really nice things for Finland and Denmark, and it has done. Only 7 and 8, though. Not their top 3. 12 goes to Czechia. Again, I think maybe a slight underestimation of the Nordics, a tiny bit. But we will see what happens. Poland is handing out its points now. If I had to guess, I mean, Australia or Czechia seem like the obvious ones here, right?
You'd think.
And there we go. Australia now really building a lead. So that lead is now 40 points. Let's not forget, 2016, Australia, big lead in the jury, then lost it and didn't win Eurovision. Came second in the end. Got very close, but not quite over the line. Romania now. Gee, one wonders. How will Moldova do from Romania? I really can't wait to see. Do you think they might get 12 points? It seems that they have done that.
Yes.
That one's very accurate. Gosh.
We get some things right.
Yeah, I have to say, this is really, really looking positive for a lot of these televote-friendly songs. They are still staying competitive at the top end.
We have new jury rules this year. The
Moldova
models tried
again.
to account. Yet Moldova gets a 12 from the San Milanese jury.
I mean, I'd love to see that. It is still really close. The spread is wide, like very wide at present. 12 Croatia. Sweden now, I would expect to see a 12 for Finland here. That's been what's happening most of the way along. Finland needs to put on some points at the end here because, to be honest, this is a really poor jury performance. I'm actually very surprised
there's a 12
to see it so low. That is a 12 from the juries for Finland. Switzerland now, and is Finland going to get another one? Yes. Okay, so Finland now...
Just kicking a bit.
A couple of votes on, and things suddenly start to look a lot more rosy.
Yeah,
Another
a decent 7,
there,
yeah.
And so it changes the picture quite substantially in quite a short amount of time. I still think this is a really astonishingly low score for Finland.
This is very, very spread.
If this ends up being what the jury sequence is like, I think we'll have a nervous ending to this contest. I don't think it's going to be this widely spread. I think,
Yep, we're there.
so that's the jury result done. Poor UK down there in 0. I don't think it'll be this narrow a spread. But the thing is that every year we've seen it has gotten more and more punchy as we've gone closer to the contest. This year that hasn't happened. Why do you think that is?
I think this jury squeeze comes down to 2 factors I'm seeing. Number 1, Delta is the only song that I can now see left that looks like a proper jury hitter. Songs like France and Denmark have really crashed in the odds over the week. The momentum has gone down. For Denmark, that's mainly down to the running order position, which was really, really harsh on it, I thought. France has just created in the odds. We've all seen that. That's been the one, bear in mind, that the model's predicted to win the juries a lot of the way through. That's now only 3rd. The other thing you're seeing is most of the songs that have come up in the odds this week were conventionally televote songs. So obviously Viva Moldova, Bangaranga's had an incredible week and now looks like it's going to be in somewhere.
Yeah.
Choke Me and things like that. And so you're getting then not just a squeeze from not a lot at the top, but now a lot of the bottom's actually coming upwards. And the result is you're kind of getting this accordion happening where beyond Delta, everyone is getting squeezed to death.
Yeah.
I mean, if we thought that the Basel jury was spread, I cannot see this being any better. I think it is going to be at least more squeezed than Basel, and it could be like this. There are so many tests I have done as to how the field spread works. It could genuinely be this flat.
Well, let's find out how it finishes off, because now we have the televote. And obviously, we'll see what happens there. It will start with the UK. Please get a point. Come on. Yes! 6 whole points. I'd be delighted if we finished off with 6 points. Let's go. Well done to, look, Mum, no computer. And we're not last because Belgium got 0. Yes. Oh, there we go. Thanks, John Model.
24th.
21 for Austria. That's
and
21
points
more.
for Austria.
21 more than they've ever got before.
I said Cosmo wouldn't finish last. I don't think it's going to happen.
Let's see how Cyprus does. I mean, a reasonable televote, surely, I'd imagine. 34. There we go. So I think that's probably about right. Lithuania next. Gets 3, probably mostly from the UK and Latvia, I'd imagine. Serbia will get 66. I think that'll be a creditable result for a song in this genre, for sure. Now Poland, which gets 11. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a big televote hit this year. Maybe some diaspora stuff, but
yeah,
it's just not. Yeah, it's not a massive appeal. Sweden with 69, taking them to 131. Italy next. So This is going to be on quite fast.
God, this is tense.
It is tense, and we're getting to some big ones where it's going to be really instructive. Romania next. 177 takes them to the top. But now is Israel. I'm very curious to see just how big it's going to go. 272 would be less.
Less by 25, but with 2 less countries. Just a little bit lower than Yuval is the prediction.
Proportionally, that is a larger score than Yuval's. Proportionally, it is larger. So we will have to see what happens now. Greece 191 ends up at 275, really struggled on the jury side.
Yeah, I think Norway got about mid-20s to 30 as well.
48 in Albania. I'm seeing a lot of lower scores here, like a lot of small scores, so there's a lot of points left. Bulgaria next goes up to 280. So still, we are in a not amazing position. Ukraine will go up to 226 with 118. Moldova, the people's champion, in my house at least, will score 175, taking it to 290, a really great result. We still have a whole series of big hitters that don't need scores which are particularly enormous, and I think there's a lot of points still on the board. So I'm kind of not nervous yet. Let's see what happens. Croatia with 25. First big hitter now, Finland. I'm going to pause it for attention's sake.
Yeah, well, this is the top 5 now. We've only got 5 left.
Finland needs to score 211 points from the public to go top in this scenario. Then Czechia would need 207. Then France would need 198. Denmark, 194. Australia would need 132. Let's see what happens. Finland scores 276. So that's projecting Finland will beat Israel in the televote.
Just.
And puts them well clear. Oh,
You just, for us, the video is just gone. It's just gone. The way I love this thing. I love this thing because it can take you from such euphoria to such heartbreak.
I got jump scared. I had to put it away.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
I really, really, really hope that doesn't happen. I want to believe there is a televote market for this. I know that maybe we're unsure. But 0 for Czechia I'd be heartbroken. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
France,
Free to
Denmark,
go.
Australia. Let's see what points they can get. We still need scores of really over 200 to get to where Israel is. France scores 30. Wow. I mean, wow. This was a projected winner at some point. It's going to finish 10th.
Yeah, 30 televote points.
My word. That is quite something. So, Denmark, Australia. See if one of you can beat Finland. Let's see what we got. Denmark next. Scores. 126, down a lot. I think we expected it. Really, really tough lines. Really, really tough lines. That means that now it's Australia or Finland. That would be your split screen. I think we'd feel quite relieved at that. Australia scores 148, putting them into second place. So, the model predicts Finland will win Eurovision with 411, Australia second, 362, Israel third, 345, Moldova fourth, 290, Bulgaria fifth, 280. So, I mean, amazing results for Moldova and Bulgaria. If they end up in that position, they will be absolutely delighted, I am sure. Gosh, I mean, I don't know what. This is so different to all of the previous ones. The numbers have moved around so much.
It's just completely transformed.
Where do we even start?
It's one of the craziest weeks, I think, in terms of a lot of our assumptions going in have really been shattered, and we have learned a lot. I mean, things just changed when we saw how good Moldova's staging was, how good Bulgaria's staging was.
Yeah.
And then obviously we've had the audience poll results, the fact that a lot of people have come in for Delta, have come in for Bangaranga, have come in for songs that we did not anticipate.
For sure.
It has been a week where I think us as heavy inverted commas experts have gone in having a certain view of what's going to happen, and I think that view has been increasingly challenged and increasingly broken up in various different ways.
I think a lot of conventional wisdom has been essentially useless this year.
Yeah, and the fact is, we're still modelling this based on what we know. There is an entirely new way the juries are going to behave. There's a kind of an approximation of it within the model that might be wrong as well. There are so many unknowns, but the most likely outcome is Finland. Finland is the one that looks like it can tick both boxes. And I do think back to 10 years ago in 2016, you have the Australian female balladeer who is going to win the jury and fall a little short in the televote. You have the televote winner, who's a country that's got quite a controversial political record.
Yeah.
Going and getting big points there, and then seeing what the juries will do. And then in the middle, you have the song that can tick through both boxes and go there. And if Leakin Hayton does a Jamala, which is what I'm sort of saying, then that would be a very interesting outcome. And it is fascinating to me that the mirror to 2016, the first year we had the new televote system in place, is really, really interesting.
It is, yeah. I mean, that is the kind of outcome that we're looking at here. I think it's obviously, and I could tell from the chat, the response to Israel's televote score. I think use it to focus the mind because it shows the scale of the manipulation with which we are dealing. And one thing I actually wanted to show you guys before we go off air, just to show you, because they're not even hiding it anymore. They're actually openly admitting it. And I'm going to show you an example of this on my tweet that I saw. That I made a tweet earlier today where I talked about the fact that, pro-Israeli groups are organizing on this matter. You know who quoted that tweet? This guy, Elon Levy, former spokesperson for the State of Israel. They're openly bragging about it. They openly brag about it, just so you know how blatant this is. They're not even trying to hide it. Such is their disregard and their disdain for this competition and its rules. They think they can openly brag about it and get away with it. The contest must not let them. Overall, unfortunately, that kind of has to be the sentiment where we finish. Because this is what tonight is kind of about, again. I feel like emotionally we're all better prepared for it than we were in past years, because last year I think we got complacent about this. This year, I think the threat to the contest is very clear, and we should be prepared for every outcome. I think it's very clear. We can see the manipulation happening in front of our eyes in real time. They're openly bragging about it now. And yes, I think in a fair world, they'd be disqualified for these kinds of campaigns. Will they be? Probably not.
We're going to find out what happens tonight. I do think the thing to be aware of going in is keep an open mind to things. Don't assume anything. And whatever happens tonight, I think it will have a quite decisive outcome.
Yeah. I think this is the kind of thing where this contest has been so charged by it and the way in which it's really hung on to everybody. The next week is going to be a really interesting time for the contest, no matter what. We'll be here with you, of course, to try and make sense of it. We're going to try and make sense of the results, whatever they are tomorrow. We're going to be back on stream. There is no legitimate Israeli victory in this contest. So in many ways, Israel cannot win tonight, because you and I, we know that this is a result that would be so manipulated, so fiddled beyond belief if Israel won, that it would never be legitimate. And I think in the eyes of the European public, it would never be legitimate either. It is now a narrative that is common knowledge that Israel is juicing its televote numbers in this competition. And for that reason, I would say that is a success on some level of all of us to ensure that people understand what is going on here. So, remember that. Do your best to enjoy the show. And we hope very, very much that we will be able to do this again for another year and for years into the future. Very quickly, Blue Angel, thank you for the super chat. And Eurohag as well. What is the evidence for Czechia outside of Voyage? Let's wait for the result and we'll get into it tomorrow maybe about Czechia. For now, thank you all so much for watching. We are at a critical, decisive point for the contest. Without meaning, it is genuinely, we are at a crossroads for the contest. And I don't mean that as a pun. We are literally, we're at a fork in the road. And we don't know which road it's going to go down. No matter what happens, we have this community. We share so much that we love, we've shared so much joy together this week and always. Let's not let that be destroyed. Let's keep fighting for each other. Hopefully there will be a contest in 10 hours' time that's worth fighting for. That's what I want for tonight. Something to fight for. For now, thank you all so much. We will see you tomorrow. And see you on the other side.
Enjoy Eurovision. Watch it with the people you love and like. And whatever happens, we've got you.